Right? And it's a good way to stay on top of my health.
Yes, I'm Cologuard, a prescription colon cancer screening option for people 45 plus at average risk. Have you screened for colon cancer?
Not yet.
Don't wait. It's more treatable when caught in early stages.
Tell me more.
Cologuard is non-invasive and it's used at home. It detects altered DNA in your stool to find 92% of colon cancers.
92%?
Yep, even those in early stages.
This was seen in a clinical study with patients 50 and older. Any positive result should be followed by a diagnostic colonoscopy. False positive and negative results may occur. Cologuard is not a replacement for colonoscopy in high-risk patients. Do not use if you have had adenomas, have inflammatory bowel disease and certain hereditary syndromes, or a personal or family history of colon cancer.
Most insured patients pay $0. Ask your provider or an online prescriber if Cologuard is right for you, or visit Cologuard.com.
I'm in.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, welcome in. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on a Wednesday, right? Yeah,
I think so.
Today's our Tuesday, technically, but yeah, we're excited to be hanging out with you here today. See, this is why I hate those little warm weather pop-ups that happen in the middle of the winter. 2 days ago, I was golfing, and today I literally, when I parked, I sat in my car for 10 minutes before I finally got out to come into the building today, just because I'm so sick of the cold already. But nonetheless, all I know is we're getting closer and closer to that warm weather. I just got to remain positive. But 518-1410, that's the number to call in and jump in on the conversation. And I wanted to open up with a little college basketball discussion, of course, because right now, yesterday we had ESPN's Joe Lunardi on, and he had a very interesting viewpoint of where he sees the Dayton Flyers season going as we currently sit here with just 4 games remaining in the regular season before the A-10 tournament. Of course, last Saturday, the Flyers, right now, they're in action tonight, but last Saturday they beat St. Joseph 74-62. 5 players in double figures. Of course, you had Deron Holmes, who led the way with 18 points. Malachi Smith had not a near triple-double, but he did have 16 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. I think I read this correctly, that Dayton has never had a player with a triple-double. I think it was Brooks Hall, if I'm not mistaken, who was talking about that on Twitter. I could be wrong, but either way, you look at Malachi Smith, it wouldn't surprise me if he's the first Flyer to get a triple-double. I could be wrong on that, but I swear that's what I came across. When I saw his stat line, I'm like, that's a very good stat. I mean, this is a freshman.
Yeah.
This is a freshman, and Dayton's playing their best basketball at this time of the year. And by the way, you want to talk about a team, people love to bring up how young this team is. If the Dayton Flyers were going to play poor basketball, you would expect it to be around now when the moment becomes too big for the freshmen. Not at the beginning of the season when you have all those cupcake games. You know what I mean? And this isn't a shot at this team. It's just what's kind of impressive. It wasn't impressive when they were losing to UMass Lowell and teams like that at the beginning. But like, you had that little watered down schedule to start the season to kind of allow this freshman team to kind of ease into things a little bit. And obviously it worked against them. But the point is right now, as the moments become bigger and each game becomes bigger and they're facing the reality of, oh my goodness, these are must-win games. Like, people are acting like, oh man, we're 2.5 weeks from Selection Sunday. We have to wait till then to find out if the Dayton Flyers are in a win-in-advance situation. They're in a win-in-advance situation now. In fact, you can't lose one of these remaining 4 games. You have to win the final 4 games of the regular season. You have to win at least 2 in the A-10 tournament. You'd like to win them all just to guarantee your opportunity to go dancing in March. But at the end of the day, the Dayton Flyers, they are in a win in advance mode now. This isn't wait till Selection Sunday to find out if you're in one of those win in advance situations. It's win now, or it's NIT, or it's looking ahead to next year. Bottom line is the Dayton Flyers are in a very interesting situation because of how rocky the season started. Some fans were, they wanted to be optimistic, but the cautiously optimistic, I think, is the word to use. Some have never, the second they beat Kansas, believed that they had at-large, opportunities from the very beginning. I am one that did not think that, mainly because you don't get that many quad 4 losses and still get to look ahead to an A-10 that's not that strong this year and expect to be in a position to get an at-large bid. But yesterday we had ESPN bracketologist Joe Lunardi on, and here's what Joe Lunardi had to say.
Got to go to work, dude.
Oh, wrong one. That is not Joe Lenardi. Holy moly. Sorry about that. So here's Joe Lenardi.
Wrong sport.
That was Steve from Springboro. You know what? Let's bring Steve from Springboro back on. Steve from Springboro, what's your thoughts on the Dayton Flyers?
Got to go to work, dude. And that ain't no poodle bark, punk asses.
Man, I miss football season. Don't you miss football season? Let's reset this. So, again, the Dayton Flyers, after those 3 quick losses early in the non-con, you did not expect them to be in a position for us to be talking about them getting an at-large bid as we sit here past the halfway point of February. But that's where we're at. So, Joe Lenardi, we had him on the show yesterday. Here's what he had to say about the Flyers' at-large opportunities.
I'm seeing this first 4 home game scenario again for Dayton. And how crazy would that be? I mean, I know it happened once. It certainly could happen again.
He's not wrong. It has happened once, and it certainly can happen again. But here's the thing that's interesting. I went back. So 2014 is the last time that the Dayton Flyers played in the first 4. In fact, it's the only time that someone has had a legitimate home game. I know that it had the neutral site tournament floor and everything like that. I went to that game and just remember walking it like I wasn't going to go. And then I changed my mind. A good friend of mine, we ended up getting tickets late and said, you know what, this is a unique opportunity to say that we watched. It's the only time that a home team has hosted an NCAA tournament. You talk about the NFL where the last 2 years, a home team has hosted the Super Bowl, basically. I mean, the Rams hosted the Super Bowl, or the Rams at least played in the Super Bowl in their home arena or home stadium. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers in their home stadium, they played in a Super Bowl. That's never happened before, and all of a sudden the NFL finds themselves in back-to-back years where that's happened. So that's kind of interesting. But as we sit, this does not happen in the NCAA tournament, mainly because of the fact that the committee does not want that. There was talks back in 2014 about they were trying to come up with the concept that would not have allowed UD to play at UD Arena in the NCAA First Four. There was not a realistic option as far as finding another site for at least that game to be played. Isn't that ridiculous that they were literally at least having those conversations?
Going out of their way to make it not happen.
Yeah, this is from, I found this article from the AP out of Columbus, Ohio from back in 2014, and they're going on to talk about, how, the Flyers fell into the part of the bracket, for a home game. They go on to talk about, and this is Ron Wellman, who was, of course, the chairman, who was a part of the selection committee, the chairman of the selection committee. He says, we don't have a backup facility that we could go to. So I'm thinking that was considered. You are that adamant about teams not playing on their home floor in the NCAA tournament that they literally sat back at that time and thought, maybe we should find a new spot for the First Four for Dayton to be able to play Boise State that year. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I think that they're making too much of this. This doesn't happen hardly at all. But It is a realistic talking point within that committee. So Joe Lenardi, again, has the Dayton Flyers on, the next 4 out, trying to play their way into the First Four in, which would put them in the First Four, or however he labels it. But the Dayton Flyers playing in the First Four is a very realistic possibility. I was kind of following and tracking social media reaction today. I did read a tweet that had said, well, if the Dayton Flyers, who basically you can go either way, it's one thing to have for Joe Lenardi to have you on the bubble, but if the committee has the Dayton Flyers on the bubble, Kev, and they're sitting here looking for reasons to put them in, reasons to keep them out. We know the reasons to keep them out. For one, the A10 is not that strong this year. It's just not. It's not what it was expected to be coming in. On top of that, they have those, they have quite a few of those quad 4 losses. They do have really good wins, but they also have been very inconsistent. Just when you think they're about to take off and make this nice run, they get that freshman loss kind of that comes up and creeps up behind them a little bit. They're hard to figure out. So if you're combing through their resume and the committee is not looking for reasons to put them in, but to keep them out, could it come down to, well, we don't want them in the First Four. We don't want them to host the tournament. So do you bump them up a couple spots? Joe Lenardi also said yesterday, I asked him what their ceiling was as far as seeding could be. What's this, let's say if they do win the A10, what kind of seed are we talking about? He told us straight up, it'll be a double-digit seed. The Flyers, they will not be a single-digit seed in this tournament. So how far up can you move the Flyers if they get an at-large bid, so that they're not a First Four team? For one, I have a problem with that. Flyer fans, you should not. That's good for you. I have a problem with messing with the integrity of the bracket because you're so gung-ho about them not playing a home game that you are going to seed them out of position just because to avoid them, or do you move them back a spot, potentially keep them out of the tournament altogether? So someone had questioned, is hosting the first four worth it if it keeps your team out of the NCAA tournament? I think it's a little dramatic of a question. I don't think anyone's truly concerned about that. But at the same time, I do think that this Flyers team is built with Anthony Grant to be in this position quite a lot moving forward, which is a good thing, by the way, if we're talking about at-large teams. I don't think they're never going to be top 10 consistently. We saw them be 3 in the country just 2 years ago, of course, but I don't think that they're ever going to be a consistent top 10 program. I think that they're going to flirt with this first four more times than not. I think it's going to be a conversation to have moving forward, but I also don't think that it's something to be worried about now. But if we find out that the committee, if Dayton wins the final four of this regular season, wins a couple games in the A-10 tournament, and then they're kept out because they didn't want to give them a home game on their floor in the first four, that's messed up too. I have a huge problem with that as far as that's concerned. I don't think it's a problem yet, but it's something to keep an eye on as far as it being on everyone's radar around here.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. If they're viewed from the committee as one of the last teams in, so they play in the first four, it is what it is. You know, when you play college basketball and you have these sporting events at campus sites, it's a possibility. It's a possibility it could happen, especially when you're dealing with a team like UD who isn't from a Power 5 conference, who finds themselves normally kind of like in these positions just because they don't have as many chances to play, you know, top ranked teams and everything like that. So they're always going to be around this part. So it just kind of is what it is. Like, you don't hear the Super Bowl saying like, oh, man, Tampa Bay, you guys can't host it at your own stadium. We're going to move it to Dallas. Oh, man, the Rams, y'all won. We can't have that. We're going to host the Super Bowl in Las Vegas instead. So you guys don't have an unfair advantage. The season plays out how it plays out. The arena's already been set up. They play the season. If that's where they are, that's where they should be and play ball. And if they just have an unfair advantage, sorry. Like, what else can you do? Like, there's been situations where teams have, okay, I'll take this for an example. The team that I follow, Syracuse, the year that they won the national championship, they played in Buffalo, Boston, and DC. 5-hour drive from campus while they're playing BYU, teams from Florida. So they had an unfair advantage too because they're so close to their campus. And it wasn't like Syracuse was a 1 seed that year. I think they were like a 4 seed or something like that. So it's just kind of, unfortunately, when you're dealing with this many teams, this is what happens. So if UD is in the first four, be in the building, be loud, cheer for the Flyers. I know I will be.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at with this too. And I normally don't put a whole lot of stock into this, but again, every article, everything I read, the committee is not a fan of putting teams on their home floor in the NCAA tournament. And hell, we've seen a lot of major disadvantages when it comes to seeding in the NCAA tournament. I mean, we've seen teams have to come from all the way on the other side of the country to come play in the first four. I mean, many times we've seen Arizona State just a few. I think that was the last first four that was played at UD Arena before COVID ruined March Madness the last 2 years. But the first four, I think, Arizona State, obviously Syracuse has played in it. We've seen California, I believe St. Mary's has played in it. I mean, the bottom line is we've seen teams from the West Coast have to come all the way to Dayton, Ohio to play in this
on a Tuesday.
On a Tuesday. And then if they win, they could end up being seated all the way, back on the West Coast or have to stay on the East Coast. And the next thing you know, they're clear on the other side of the map for 2 weeks playing in this tournament. You're not going to appease everybody. You're not going to keep everybody happy. But at the same time, I understand why you want to kind of keep some teams separated. I think so the 2020 season, there was a lot of discussion of where the Flyers would have been seated because they would have been potentially one of those 1 seeds. Actually, I'll go beyond say potentially. They were pretty much a lock to be a 1 seed at that point, or one of the 1 seeds, not an overall one. I think Nashville was the closest region that they host site that they could have potentially played in, which would have been nice. But I've also seen when Wright State made it a few years ago. Indianapolis is where I thought that they were going to be sent to. So I was like, or St. Louis. They ended up getting sent to Dallas. I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me. Wright State averages a tournament a decade. Been waiting for this moment since covering Wright State, obviously, and then they make the tournament, and I'm like, I can't go to Dallas. I'm not going to Dallas. I don't have enough PTO to go to Dallas.
How far is Dallas from El Paso?
It's still pretty far because whenever I fly home, when I go visit my family in El Paso, which has been a while, I fly from usually, I guess, Dayton to Dallas, Dallas to El Paso.
Wow.
And that's about a 2-hour flight from Dallas to El Paso. So.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's a nice little. It's not close.
Okay.
I can't call my grandparents and my dad and be like, "Can I go stay with you guys? Got a game in Dallas, so I'll just drive to the game tomorrow." It ain't gonna work that way. But
come pick me up.
Yep. So Matt Heel on Facebook. Matt, I hope I said your name right, man. He says Dayton played in the first four before. It would be an absolute shame if we missed it because we would have a home game. Oh, no doubt. And Matt, if you remember at the time that they did make the first four, there was a lot of people complaining about them playing in the first four, how unfair it is. And let me say it this way. There's no disrespect to UD or any team that plays in the first four because we've seen, I don't know what the streak is. In fact, we're having members of the Big Hoopla on the show tomorrow, the organizing committee that helps bring you the first four every year. For a while, I think the streak was 10 plus years of a first four team making it to at least the Sweet 16. One of the first four teams always makes a deep run. But I think it'd be really silly to have this aggressive of a rule for a bubble team.
Yeah.
Don't pop the bubble of one of these teams because of that. But yeah, that is interesting as far as that's concerned. So yes, they have played a home game in the NCAA tournament before, but it's just going to, I'm really curious, was there enough backlash at the time? The other thing, Flyer fans, I do remember from you guys, and I shouldn't say all of you. I know some people get mad at me because I'll lump all fans under one umbrella based on a certain few I talk about. But Flyer fans, most of them, or a good chunk of them, they were like offended that they were in the first four last time. No, like they felt like they were snubbed. They felt disrespected that they were in the first four. This is back in 2014, which, by the way, anyone listening, does any one of you out there, when we had Joe Lenardi on yesterday and he's talking about the Flyers in the first four, he goes, "Oh, I don't remember how long ago it was." And I'm thinking, "Oh, it was just a couple years ago." No.
Yeah.
That was almost 8 years ago. What the hell is
Time
going
flies.
on? That was 14. That was 8 years ago. How in the world that's unbelievable to me. But, I don't know why Flyer fans at that time were so offended or felt disrespected at the idea of playing in the first four. You got to play on your home floor. And, I look at the first four as an opportunity to play an extra game. A lot of times you're more evenly matched with an opponent.
Yep.
More times than not, if you're a double-digit seed, you're going up against a single-digit seed, and Dayton's always had success in the tournament, but the point is usually you're going up against an opponent that you're not as evenly matched up with, and that's the situation they find themselves in more times than not when you're a double-digit seed. The first four is you're evenly matched. You have a very good opportunity. The only thing I don't like about the first four, Kev, is the 16 seed matchups. For instance,
I agree.
If Wright State wins so Joe Lenardi has Cleveland State out of the Horizon as a 16 seed right now. When I talked to him about the Horizon League a few weeks ago, he had said whoever the Horizon League is down this year. Well, I mean, people, you can make your joke. It's the Horizon League. So if it's down this year, what's it most year? But anyway, so whoever wins the conference is most likely going to be a 16 seed, which, by the way, I watched the Horizon League. I don't think it's 16 seed bad, but that's just maybe my biased opinion. If Wright State is a 16 seed and they have to play in the first four, let's say they win the conference tournament, which, by the way, I think in the Horizon League, teams 1 through 5 there's no gap. They're all deadlocked. Any one of those 5 teams can win it. And knowing how that league works, that means the 9th team will win it because that's how it works. If Wright State wins this conference tournament coming up and they're a 16 seed, they'll be matched up with another 16 seed. And no offense, but if Coach Nagy and Wright State gets a win and 16 versus 16, that counts as an NCAA tournament win.
Yes, sir.
Wright State has to pay Coach Nagy his bonus for winning in the NCAA tournament, right? Now, your reward is a second round beatdown by whoever one of the number 1 seeds are, but that's crazy to me that, but that's getting a win in the NCAA tournament is so massive. And every year you get these 16 seeds matched up. You get these coaches of these programs who aren't one of the top programs in the country who get an NCAA tournament win. I don't know how to word that. I'm not saying it shouldn't count or that it doesn't count, but sometimes it's like a free gimme here. It's as easy an opportunity as you'll get being a double-digit seed to win a tournament game.
You're given a chance. You're given an opportunity because most chances you're probably going to lose that game. But I'm of the mindset of all the 16 seeds have earned the right to go ahead and play your Dukes, Kentuckys, whomever is the power team that year, and catch that fade on TV and everything like that. I'm more the mindset of I want to see all the bubble teams in the first four. I want to see these 11 seeds like, I don't know, I'm just randomly picking teams, Clemson and Florida playing in the first floor and everything like that. Syracuse and name your middle of the pack Big Ten team playing for it, because you're all bubble teams. Y'all should be playing in this opening round situation because you're the last ones in. These other teams have earned their right because 9 times out of 10, if you're a 16 seed, that means you have won your conference tournament. So you have the auto bid. Like these other teams, you didn't do enough during the regular season. You didn't win your conference tournament. We don't know what to do with you. Go roll the balls out there. Y'all fight for it all. Y'all fight for a chance to get into the big tournament on Thursday and Friday and everything like that. And I think you probably would get like more entertaining matchups. I mean, think about the year that Ben Simmons was his freshman year at LSU. Like that team was a bubble team. Imagine if they were here in Dayton. You imagine the hoopla that would be happening here. Like to have the number 1 pick in the NBA draft here at UD Arena, fighting for his life to go to the big dance and everything like that. I think you'll draw in more casual fans when you have brand name teams out there as opposed to, non-brand name teams.
So, for instance, if you had 4, and it used to be these, so if you had your 4 16 seed matchups in the first 4, UNC Wilmington against New Orleans, Texas Southern against Norfolk State. No disrespect to those programs, but no one outside of their small fan bases is sprinting to get their tickets.
Right.
But I'm not a Michigan fan or a Memphis fan. I'm not an Indiana fan or a San Diego State fan, but Michigan, Memphis, Indiana, San Diego State, and those 4 teams I mentioned because Joe Lunardi has them as the 11th seed matchup and the 12th seed matchup. I'm paying tickets to go watch them in the NCAA tournament.
Put butts in the seats.
But on the flip side, if I'm a team like Wright State, who plays in and this isn't a shot at Wright State, they just play in a conference that's not going to get any love to begin with, and you're strapped based on what's around you. If I could play that 16 seed matchup and get an NCAA tournament win,
sure.
Totally, I'll move that goalpost all day as far as that's concerned. But nonetheless, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Again, Joe Lunardi says that he is right now, based on what he is seeing from the Dayton Flyers, that the first 4 is a realistic possibility for UD. But as we talked about the last time this happened, there was actual discussions about whether or not they find another spot for this game to be played in. I don't think it was that serious of a conversation, but again, I used that article from the AP that I found from back in 2014 talking about they were looking into a lot of different scenarios that would keep Dayton from playing on their home floor. With everything going on, you have 68 teams that you're trying to navigate through, that you're trying to organize this tournament, and they're taking time trying to find another site to have a game played because you don't want them on their home floor. That's strange to me as far as I'm concerned. So if that does play a role in the Flyers getting in or not getting in this year, if the Flyers don't make it this year, the committee better say, well, you can't lose to UMass Lowell, you can't lose to Lipscomb, you can't lose to Austin Peay. That's why you're not in. You don't have to like it, but at least it's justifiable. But if I find out or we find out that the reason that they don't make the NCAA tournament is because, well, we can't put you on your home floor, I think that's ridiculous. So that's going to be the interesting thing to follow here over the coming weeks. And to be fair, they're justified in doing so. Like I said, they're justified in keeping UD out of the NCAA tournament because of those quad 4 losses. But I don't think there's not a good enough reason at all to say, well, we don't think you should host a tournament game. Well, then maybe you should just put all of these in arenas that don't have teams that play there.
Right.
I'm joking, Dave, but no, I'm not. You see what I mean? I don't actually want that. I'm just saying, but you can't put this tournament in college arenas and then have this weird stipulation that home teams can't play there, all while the first 4 has a clear path for Dayton to get there regularly. Dayton plays in the A-10. They're never going to be, unless they have that special OB year, they're always going to be anywhere between that 12 and 8 seed as far as on a regular basis. So, and I have to go look to see what the highest seed was they got with Archie. Flyer fans, tell me, what was the highest seed they had when Archie was here? I want to say it was that last year when they played Wichita. I thought it was a 6 or a 7 seed?
I'm not sure. I can Google it. What do you think is more likely to happen? Them leave them out or them to bump them up a seed line so they don't play in the first 4?
That is all going to depend on the teams around them. But again, why would you? They'll put them in. They were worried about it last time and put them in. I think they put them in. I'm just worried if they decide to pull that card, I'd have an issue with. They want to make money. If UD's the anchor that sells out UD Arena for the first 4, they're going to, you would think that they would want that.
Right. I mean, they haven't had it in 2 years, right?
Yeah. And, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But 518-1410, more of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash when we come back.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hey, team, it's a full house. We got to pick up the pace.
At Hank's Restaurant, the line goes around the block.
Is this for 12? Okay, I need the truffle oil drizzle.
What he needs is another line cook.
Oh, man. Are the quail breasts still in the sous vide? Dave, can you keep an eye on that, please?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a speed bump. Did you hear what I said? I'm a speed bump. And if you have cut-rate car insurance, the cost to reattach your muffler could really be a bump in the road. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you if you could simply take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. I buy all types of real estate completely as is. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, rental portfolios. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer and speak with one of our friendly staff members at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Water stains on the shower glass. Try rubbing some shaving cream on.
Tyler's cleaning crew knows every housekeeping trick in the book.
Handling timesheets now.
But they need a proper bookkeeper to keep finances tidy.
New equipment is a business expense, right?
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Germain Honda Beaver Creek is your local Honda dealer. For a limited time, get 0.9% financing on the 22 Honda Pilot, Honda Passport, and Honda HR-V, and as low as 1.9% financing on all other 22 Hondas while supplies last. We can get the Honda you're looking for. We are taking deposits on current scheduled in-build 22 Hondas every day. See me, sales manager Jason High, for all the details. We're located Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I hope to see you soon.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus, home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well, medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed. Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the very best value in bath and shower remodeling and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that's safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase right now. Visit Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com and upgrade today.
Hams Oil, the #1 in synthetic lubricants since 1972. The Colonel here for Homestead Feed and Supply. Whether it's motorcycles, small engine, diesel, or high-performance gasoline, we got it. Come see us, Homestead Feed and Supply, 1833 North Dayton Lakeview Road, New Carlisle.
Did you know Master Force has thousands of tools at Menards? Any tool you want, we have. There are hammers, drills, pliers, levels, wrenches, grinders, sanders, compressors, nailers, workbenches, mowers, blowers, chainsaws, floor jacks, knee pads, work lights, fans. And that's just a taste. Come check out the wide range of products from Master Force, exclusively at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
Ray Magliozzi here. eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. And if there's one thing I love, it's great parts and great prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots. He's Dayton's own Keith Byers. Hang out with him every Monday at noon on the Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a speed bump. Did you hear what I said? I'm a speed bump. And if you have cut-rate car insurance, the cost to reattach your muffler could really be a bump in the road. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hi, this is Keith Byers. If you suffer from chronic joint pain, don't assume that steroid shots, pain pills, and surgery are your only options. You can now get real, lasting, life-changing relief from QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in using biologic therapies to repair damaged tissue in your aching joints. The success rate is staggering. People with knee and back pain, shoulder pain, and hip pain, they're moving again, enjoying life with the help of QC Kinetics. This advanced, unique treatment protocol uses natural biologic agents, mostly from your own body. These powerful, highly concentrated growth factors are put directly into your affected joint, going to work to soothe the inflammation and restore damaged tissue. Finally, a new, different, highly successful approach to dealing with joint pain. Good time you got a second opinion. Call QC Kinetics now and wake up to a life without pain. Call QC Kinetics at 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325.
All right, we are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, Dayton's ESPN radio station. The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty and Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Dayton Flyers back in action tonight as they welcome in UMass, and that'll be a 7 o'clock tip-off at UD Arena. Talked about the potential at-large possibilities for the Dayton Flyers. They are, it's not about getting to the point of the season where it's win in advance. That time of year is officially here. Mm-hmm. Dayton loses one of the next 4 outside of winning the conference tournament. I think their at-large hopes are dead. So enjoy this while you can, because right now every win moving forward without a loss in between that conversation is going to pick up even more. And I think that the conversation's been there for a while. I just think people were kind of hesitant to latch onto it. But now that we're looking at the fact that there's only 4 games left and they have like LaSalle and a couple bad teams left on the schedule, they do end out, they closed it out with Davidson here to close out the regular season. And UMass, we'll see what happens tonight, what ends up happening there. But that'll be interesting to see how all of that pans out to close out the regular season heading in. So we're talking about the fact that, the committee is really kind of stubborn and they don't really want teams hosting NCAA tournament games. They don't want you playing on your home floor in the NCAA tournament. I think that's a silly concept when you put the NCAA tournament in these college arenas and then have the nerve to have that kind of unwritten rule, I guess. I think that's messed up, especially if it keeps a team out of the tournament. If the committee is looking at the Dayton Flyers and they say we can overlook the 3 quad 4 losses, we could overlook the Lipscomb loss, the Austin P loss, we can overlook the UMass Lowell loss. We can overlook those. You have that great, that Florida Invitational, great run in Orlando, beat Kansas. Okay, you beat Kansas. You took care of business against Kansas. You beat Miami. You beat Belmont. Quality non-conference schedule outside of those quad 4 losses, of course, and I'm not putting those off like they're nothing. That's the weight carrying this team down. By the way, that's what's crazy. That 7-day stretch is what is really could potentially be what keeps Dayton out of the tournament. That 7-day stretch of those 3 games, that's what's keeping Dayton out of this tournament potentially. But my problem is that the committee looks at their resume and says, you know what, they're definitely in. If the first 4 was in Idaho, if the first 4 was in Dallas, if the first 4 was in Alaska, if the first 4 was anywhere else, Dayton would be in. But because the first 4 happens just so happens to be held at the arena that the Dayton Flyers play in, that's going to be why you potentially keep them out. I think that's wrong. I also think it's wrong to give them a favorable seed by bumping them up just to put them in, just because you don't want them to play they deserve to play in the first 4. They deserve to be a double-digit seed with those 3 losses. I think they deserve to be in the NCAA tournament, but I don't think that they deserve to be given favorable attention to by giving them bumping them up a seed. What does that say about the competitive balance of that entire bracket if you're just going to throw a team somewhere just because, hey, you know what, we can't put them there? I'm not a fan of that. But we were talking about earlier about some of the previous seeds for the Dayton Flyers. Dayton and 2017, the last time they made it, they were a 7 seed. In 16, they were a 7 seed. 15, they were an 11 seed. And in 14, an 11 seed, as far as that's concerned. So there's that. That's the thing about UD. If you just look at the last 4 tournament appearances alone, they're always going to be in that anywhere between that 7 to 12 range. They're always going to be in the first 4 conversation, Kev. Like the fact that it hasn't happened more, or the fact that they haven't been close to it happening more, is kind of mind-boggling to me. I think they're always going to be in that phase. I think with this roster, the fact that they are all freshmen, and with the classes that Anthony Grant keeps coming in, I think they're going to stay away maybe a little bit away from the 11 and double-digit seeds. But I keep seeing people say, well, with this class, the sky's the limit. I don't want to hear about classes in college athletics anymore. The chances of Deron Holmes and the chances of Malachi Smith is pretty high of staying because his brother playing here. I think it's kind of a legacy type deal. But I think the likelihood of the core all sticking together for 3 to 4 years is unlikely. So that's why I don't buy into that whole, this class, the sky's the limit. This is a year in, year out. It's a 1 year. Every athlete right now is on a 1-year contract. They can pick up and leave whenever they want. So I don't look too far out. But I think Dayton as a whole history has showed us this is a team that's going to hover anywhere between that 7 and 12. I think that the committee needs to make up their damn mind of whether the first 4, whether they're going to stick to that policy of playing on your home floor or not.
Yeah, the transfer portal is something that is going to be out there, especially for quote unquote mid-major teams, like guys that weren't like super recruits and going to your big Power 5 schools, your Dukes and North Carolinas and everything like that. You go to, a quote unquote lower level and you show out. You show that, oh man, I'm just as good, if not better than the guys that you have on your team. And then that one and done guy from Kentucky decides to leave. Hey man, let's dial up so-and-so from XYZ conference, man. He held his own. Let's see if he can come up here and play for us. And those guys are always looking to have more exposure so they can get themselves out there and potentially make that leap to the NBA or, other professional leagues. So that is definitely something that all college coaches have to deal with now, especially in basketball. I know we talk a ton about college football and everything like that, but I think is more prevalent in college basketball because there's such short rosters. There's only 12 guys on the team. You're going to see a lot more turnover out there.
Brian Fraley on Facebook says UD has had a 4 to 5 seed a couple times if memory serves. Most oftentimes A10 teams go anywhere from 7 to 12. And I think that's fair as far as that goes. Mark Smith says maybe not with this group of freshmen. These guys have a chance to be great. Oh, no doubt. But we talked about this from a football perspective. I think after National Signing Day, I don't put any stock into National Signing Day anymore. When people start bragging about recruiting rankings, I don't care about that anymore because these student athletes are now all these athletes are on 1-year contracts. You know what I mean? Like, in the NBA, in pro sports, if you imagine if pro sports was like college where there was no 3 or 4 year contracts, there was no 10-year contracts in Major League Baseball. Imagine if every year everyone was just on a 1-year contract. That's college athletics right now. That's where we're at in college athletics. So I don't do the whole outlook thing. I don't care about what Anthony Grant has coming in because everything he has coming in could replace pieces that are going out, and that's guys that aren't graduating. So that's why I don't do the whole outlook thing as far as that's concerned with that. But 518-1410, Kev, who we got?
Charlie.
The Charlie?
Yes, sir.
Charlie, how are you, sir?
I'm good, man. How you guys?
I was worried that we weren't going to hear your voice until next football season.
Well, I had some thoughts about the college football you were talking about last week.
Okay.
And then you talking about the college basketball. Just it's kind of across the board. It's so annoying about college. Like really, I mean, I don't know what goes on in other sports, but in football and basketball, because there is power to be had, that the people who make these decisions, it's like how stupid of it to even have a thought of like, well, Dayton, that's their home court. They shouldn't be allowed to play there. It's like, that's so dumb. Like in pro sports, wherever you're ranked at the end of the year, that's how you're seated, period, right? There's no, well, these last couple of wild card games, we want to set them up so it's a good matchup. No, because if that was the case, they would have tried to set it up to where, at the end of in the AFC Championship, it's Bills, Chiefs, and then NFC, maybe it's the Packers and Buccaneers or what, whatever. Like if it's for stories or for whatever, but this situation, if the Flyers are getting in the last 4 in, are they even considered, like, could they even get out of the first weekend? Like, what are the odds on that? Probably not.
Remember, it's the first 4 has that negative connotation because back in the day, it used to just be all the 16 seeds and,
opening round.
Yeah, it's like opening round. And I don't even like that they call it the first 4. I hate that. It's the NCAA tournament.
It just sounds cool.
Yeah, I hate like when we call it the wild card round in the NFL, like, when the Bengals Raiders play. Well, it's the wild card to get to the play. No, it's the playoffs. The Bengals were in the play. The wild card is the playoffs. The first 4 is to me just like the wild card. Major League Baseball, I like the concept of the 1-game playoff because the urgency and you're tuning in to watch an elimination game, but it's also kind of stupid. You play 162 games just to get to a 1-game playoff. I hate when we call the NCAA tournament round something different than the rest of the tournament. I hate when we call something in pro sports different than the rest of the playoffs when it's the damn playoffs. Wild card is part of the playoffs. The first 4 is part of the NCAA tournament. But to your credit, Charlie, like it's not your fault why you have that perception of the first 4. It's because that's how it's been branded. To me, you're talking about an 11 seed, a lot of 11 seeds. In fact, my upsets every year, I always pick the 11 or 12 seeds as my big upsets every year, and that's usually the case. Maybe I don't get them right.
Are you saying that Dayton would be an 11 seed?
The 11 or 12, yeah.
Okay,
but you see, like when you heard first 4, your mind right away went to, the 16 seed. No, Dayton's way better than any of of that mess that they're. Yeah, an 11 or 12 seed based on how this would pan out.
But it just shouldn't matter. Like we don't like the Bengals just played in the Super Bowl against the Rams on their home field, and I don't even know if I've thought about it till just now. I was like, oh yeah, that was the home game for the Rams. Because the Super Bowl was going to be there regardless.
Yeah, and they don't sit there and say, well, we don't want a home team. In fact, what made the Super Bowl even more unique was the fact that it did have they've never had a home team host a Super Bowl before, and then all of a sudden the last 2 years they've had it happen in back-to-back seasons. So, yeah.
Of all the things that were talked about before and after that game, that might be the least mentioned, because all of us as sports fans understand that this is where the Super Bowl was going to be this year, period. If the Rams are able to get to that, okay, well, that's just where it is. So that's what it is. And I understood that as a Bengals fan, like, that's just where the Super Bowl is. Like, I'm not going to, what are you going to do? That's just what it is. So if the first four are in Dayton, and Dayton happens to be a team that draws the first four games, then, just let them play.
The problem is the committee will be able to hide behind. They're going to hide behind those 3 losses from November when they lost to Austin Peay, UMass Lowell, and Lipscomb. They'll hide behind those losses and say that's why they don't let them in. In reality, it'll most likely be because they don't want them playing on their home floor. But at the same time, you do have to look at the fact that there's an opportunity. I mean, this is a money-making opportunity. Not that the NCAA is short on change by any means, but it's a lot of eyes on the first four if a home team, if UD's hosting it. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, and I think that, there are people who are fans of all of it, and then there's like people who like pro sports more than college. I kind of tend to be that guy. Like, I just like the way pro sports function better. And maybe that's my whole thing here, because college football, like you were talking about how not broke, don't fix it. I don't subscribe to that, because the NFL just added the 17th game. They added 2 more playoff teams, and there was absolutely nothing wrong with their stuff, But and everyone else could really benefit from changing things, even if they are successful. College football being the number one, but to ever penalize a team because you've decided that from here until whenever you're going to have the first games at their court, that's the kind of stuff that just is a turnoff for me. It's like, how's that even fair? Like, if you won the amount of games you need to win to go play, then you should be allowed to go play.
Nope, I get that, and that's what'll be interesting. And the funny part is you look at, UD, and again, this is I'm stretching this big time, but let's say they don't make it this year because that concept. What if they would, in 14? What if they would have been kept out of the tournament because the committee said we don't want them playing on their home floor? And then what if they were kept out this year because of that? Well, UD, they're so passionate about the first four being in Dayton. Now you got to ask yourself, do we want to host this first four every year if it means, the fact that it's bumped our team out of the tournament twice, which that's not the case, and it may not be the case this year. But I do find that interesting as something that would be a talking point if that was the case in 14, and most likely could potentially be the case this year if it does come about. So it'll be interesting. That's for sure.
Can I touch on college football, or you got to go?
Nope. We have 90 seconds. I'll let you get that in.
All right. So really the whole situation to me is stupid. The fact that there's 120 Division I schools or whatever it is, 127. I don't even know what the number is anymore. Maybe it's 130. 130 schools don't have a chance to win a national title. We all know that, right? But in the NFL, everybody has a chance. Even the Lions have a chance. Heck, the Bengals played in the Super Bowl this year. But I have an issue with representation, like the percentage of representation in the playoffs. Like college basketball, they have 68 teams out of like 300. Okay, well, that's a good percentage. College football, 4 out of 130, that's nothing. So I think you either cut the amount of teams down to like 60 that are actually D1 teams, or you increase the amount of people that get in the playoffs, like, I don't know, at least 14 teams. That's how many are in the NFL. I just don't see the problem with it. And I don't agree with, because you always say that, like, we have a hard time finding 4 good teams because the top 4 teams aren't the 4 best teams. Just that's all based on record, and not everybody plays everybody. So, like what was it last year, the year before, when Ohio State got into Texas A&M didn't? I think they were a better team, but that's just us talking because they didn't get to play. But you know what I mean? Like the best 4 teams are somewhere in, maybe not all the way out to 14, but they're somewhere in that top 10. Are the best. Like Notre Dame, I don't care. If there's Notre Dame people listening, I'm sorry. They've never been the top 4 in all this time. Okay?
That I agree with.
Oklahoma has clearly never been the number 4 in all this time. They've never won a game.
I definitely don't think Cincinnati, the Bearcats were not one of the 4 best teams this year. But
I was fine with the Bearcats playing because it's like, okay, well, you've won enough this many times, and now you're in. But they would have been in anyway if there would have been more playoff teams. But they would have got beat at some point, and the actual 4th best team would have been in the Final 4. That's just what I think, man. I just think that the true top 4 teams aren't getting a chance every year because they're somewhere in like the top 8, top 10. They're not in the top 4. Because if Notre Dame goes undefeated, you know, and they play USC and ACC, give me a freaking break.
Charlie, talk later, man.
All right, see you guys.
Peace. I'm not ignoring Charlie. I'm going to feed off of what he said in a moment. But the one thing Charlie keeps saying, that, and a lot of fans always miss the point on this, that the college football playoff has never been about the 4 best teams. Ever. It's always been about the 4 best resumes. Cincinnati, in my opinion, was not one of the 4 best teams in college football. I think they lose to Texas A&M this year. I think they lose to I think they lose to Florida. I think they lose to a lot of SEC teams. I think they lose to a lot of Big Ten teams. I think they forget Alabama, forget Alabama, Georgia, forget the Ohio States of the world. Like there's those mid-level teams in the SEC and Big Ten that I think takes care of Cincinnati. It's never been about the top 4 teams in the country. It's always been about the top 4 resumes. The resumes do the talking. That's why we focus so much on strength of schedules. That's why we focus so much, or at least I always pound the table on, well, who are you playing? You know, you play in a weak ACC, and the Big Ten sometimes is really strong, sometimes it's really bad. But that's why when it's all said and done, people get mad about the college football playoff. But really, there's no way. Charlie's right. These teams don't play all the same opponents. So there's really no way to do a lot of cross comparisons as far as that's concerned of like opponents. So it really comes down to resumes, the top 25. We say the top 25 doesn't matter. Well, it does, because that is the standard, or that is the benchmark of how we gauge what is a good win and what's not a good win. And that's kind of where we're at. Hour 1 in the books. Hour 2 coming up. WWE Monday Night Raw will be in Columbus this coming up Monday. We have quite a load of tickets to unload for all of you wrestling fans. And I'll tell you how you can have a chance to win some of those tickets on the other side of this break. Interesting news, the Daytona 500 crushed the NBA All-Star Game in ratings. Does that mean anything to anybody? We'll talk about that coming up. The NBA Top 75. Everyone, when you look at those lists, talks about who made the list. I'm here to talk about who didn't make the list. Kev and I have our top 5 player snubs of the top 75. We'll get to all of that coming up in hour number 2. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash when we come back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
And into the end zone goes Chris Olave. KJ Hill, 6-yard touchdown catch. Right sideline and down he goes to the end zone.
WING 1410 Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Veterans, were you exposed to harmful burn pit smoke while serving overseas? The Department of Veterans Affairs has recognized and is providing benefits to veterans who suffer with asthma, rhinitis, and sinusitis as a result of burn pit exposure. If you served in the Southwest Asia Theater of Operations or Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, Syria, or Djibouti and suffer from any respiratory illnesses that you believe is a result of exposure to burn pits, contact the Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Ray Magliozzi here. eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. And if there's one thing I love, it's great parts and great prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, we are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash. That was just a quick little timeout. Like Greg Gard at the end of a blowout, we just needed a quick 30-second timeout. Hold up, what? What are the five?
Touch me.
What do the 5 fingers say to the face? Just saying.
That had to hurt. I mean, Juwan Howard's a big dude. Like, in the size of his hands. Yeah.
I just laugh because there were so many debates going on about that. I mean, there's so many different moving parts throughout there. But the fact that people got angry over what's considered a punch and what isn't a punch, I'm like, that's really what people are arguing about. Because when people would say, yeah, he swung, he punched somebody. That wasn't a punch.
Hit him.
I'm like, hold up. That's what we're angry at. Like, that's what people are really getting really upset about on social media. And some people called it a punch. Doesn't matter. As if, okay, you can open hand slap somebody. That's fine. But if you punch somebody, now that's where we draw the line. Like I said yesterday, when people say, well, I don't think it was a fireable offense. If you don't think a coach swinging on somebody in a handshake line after a game is done, if that's not a fireable offense, when people say, well, I don't think that's a fireable offense, well, then what is? What do you have to do in a handshake line for it to be considered a fireable offense? Like that just cracks me up. But nonetheless, we welcome you back. Hour 2. And Charlie just called in, and Damon Hahn cracks me up on Facebook, says, almost wrecked my car. Charlie was making valid points. Or he goes, no, Charlie makes valid points when he's not talking Bengals. I agree. In fact, that's the first time Charlie and I have had a conversation that didn't end up in me hanging up on him or him yelling at me about the Browns. So
definitely the first time since at least July.
That is true. That is true. But Charlie brought up the fact that, talking about college football, there's 120 plus Division I college football programs, and yet maybe a handful of them are legitimate championship contenders every year. And it's not even championship contenders, by the way. Like, there is nothing that a MAC school can do to win a national championship. The closest that an American Conference school can do is what we just witnessed with Cincinnati. And I don't think that, I truly don't believe, Kev, that the Bearcats provided a blueprint to get there. For instance, do what Ohio State did. Ohio State, lose to a good quality opponent, beat everybody else, win a conference championship, you're in the playoff. That's a blueprint. That's what you follow. What Ohio State does, you're fine if you're a Power 5 school. If you are Iowa, undefeated or at least one loss with the Big Ten championship, as long as the loss isn't a blowout, you're in the college football playoff. It's that simple. It's not difficult if you're a Big Ten team. I don't think that the Bearcats provided a blueprint to get to the playoff, Kev. I mean, I don't think there's such thing as a blueprint that requires everybody else having to do all the work around you for you to get in. Yes, you have a responsibility to win all your games and to win your conference tournament. But if anyone thinks that the Bearcats got in because they were undefeated and because they won a conference tournament or their conference championship, that's not what happened. Ohio State crumbled. Everyone crumbled around them. Clemson crumbled. Oklahoma crumbled. Oklahoma State crumbled. There was a lot of teams that crumbled down the stretch. Do you believe that the Bearcats provided a blueprint to get to the college football playoff?
No, because they don't.
For that type of team.
No, they don't control their own destiny. When you don't control your own destiny, there is no blueprint. You can only control what you can control, and they did that by winning their games and everything like that. And then, obviously, the big time win over Notre Dame at their building and everything like that. But, yeah, things definitely had to go their way for them to get in there, for sure. No doubt about it. I mean, people kind of thought all right, once Ohio State was out, it was like, all right, man, all they got to do is win. Nah, I was still a firm believer that Baylor needed to beat Oklahoma State in the Big 12 championship for them to get in. And once that went down, that game was at noon. So by the time that game was over and Cincinnati was kicking off in their championship game, basically all they needed to do, quote unquote, was to win their game, and they probably were in there. I think their percentages went up exponentially to make the college football playoff. But there is no blueprint there. I mean, I guess the blueprint out there is all right, hey, dial up Alabama, play them in Atlanta, and then dial up Florida for a 5-game series, and 4 of them at Florida, all in the same year, and you go beat them, and then maybe that's the blueprint. But like on a year-to-year basis, like that's just not going to happen. And furthermore, like, would they play them? Probably not. Like, I'm not about to. If I'm Florida, I'm like, nah, I'm about to play you guys. You guys might beat us. Let me dial up Backyard Tech so we can get this good victory. I don't need to pay y'all $1 million for y'all to come down here and actually beat us and think you're a somebody and then ruin us. Like, no, we're not going to do that. So it's kind of like that Boise State thing, like, you know, in the early 2000s where Boise State was traveling all over the place and having big time victories and everything like that. I remember one time they went to Virginia Tech or something like that and they beat Virginia Tech. And then slowly but surely, people stopped putting Boise State on the schedule because, they actually can play. Let's not play them because they're not from a Power 5 conference and that can only hurt us. So we're not going to play you guys no more. And now with Boise State, the guys that were NFL caliber dudes, they're not going to Boise State anymore because the thrill is gone.
Yeah, it was a one-hit wonder, if you will. I don't think the Bearcats are a one-hit wonder, but I think they could potentially be a playoff one-hit wonder as far as the American Conference is concerned. So that's kind of – so I got to all that because, you know, Charlie was talking about what's fair and about the playoffs. Like the 4 best teams have never made the 4 best teams have never made the college football playoff because it's not about the 4 best teams. It's about the 4 best resumes. And I don't know if I can go as far as to say that about the NCAA tournament. I think all the top teams make the NCAA tournament. I think you get bad teams in the NCAA tournament. The phrase bubble teams exists for a reason. They're on the bubble, but you get the fringe teams, you get the great teams, you get some bad teams in there. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just kind of where it's at. Wright State years ago, the last time they made the NCAA tournament, would that have been 18, I believe? So when they made it in 18, it was 18. So when they made it in 2018, they played
Tennessee.
Yeah, when they played Tennessee.
Okay.
And it was over before it started. They played Cleveland State in that title game, and the winner of that got the auto bid. And Cleveland State was like a 12-win team that year. So if Cleveland State would have beat Wright State to get to the NCAA tournament, that auto bid, a 13-win team would have taken a bid from somebody else. That's why I'm not, when we talk about college football playoffs and we want to talk about the potential of, the conference champion getting an auto bid to the college football playoff, I think that's just ridiculous. I mean, how many times have we watched a 4-loss Northwestern team get to the Big Ten title? Let's say a couple injuries happened in the first quarter. Northwestern beats Ohio State. Okay, you earned that win against Ohio State. They lost, but a 4-loss Northwestern has no business sniffing the college football playoff. That's why I'm not always a huge fan of those as far as that's concerned. But 518-1410, a couple things I want to get into here in a moment with the NBA. Talk about Daytona 500 very quickly. 518-1410. Kev, who we got?
We have CJ.
CJ, thanks for holding, sir. Welcome.
How you guys doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. Well, Dwight Howard should have definitely been on the list since that was your tease earlier.
Yep. I have no problem opening up with that with you. That's fine. So you think Dwight Howard, because it's always easy to talk about the names in the list, but it's the names that don't make it that usually always catch my attention. And sometimes it's not, you'd say Dwight Howard should be in. Well, who would he replace then? If that, I know it's hard to memorize 75 names, but who would he replace?
I don't know. I would take out what's the guy that played with the Jazz or played with Utah?
Karl Malone? He's in there.
No. Not Karl Malone. Not
John
Utah.
Stockton?
He played, not John Stockton. I'm sorry, I had the wrong team. He plays with LeBron right now. He played with
Anthony Davis.
Team. I don't think he should have been on. Yeah, Anthony Davis would be the first one I would take off.
That's fair. I think he twisted his ankle when they were writing his name on that list, to be honest with you. And that's unfair. I hate tearing down players who get injured, because if you think fans are frustrated, how do you think they feel? Like, they just, every time their ankle turns, it's like, there goes millions. Well, Anthony Davis is fine, but you see what I mean.
Well,
rookie deal contract guys especially.
He's definitely a great player. I just don't know if he's one of the top 75. That, and his injuries are the reason why. I mean, when you look at the list, though, but Dwight Howard dominated teams defensively when he played down in Miami. Nobody could score against him for a while.
Well, let me ask you this: Dwight Howard, Karl Malone, who you taking?
I'll call him alone.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And like Dwight Howard was dominant, but I don't know. I'm fine with him not being in that top 75, I guess. I don't know if there's anyone, and I'll get to Kevin in a moment, but is there someone in the top 75 that you said Anthony Davis? Is there another name that should not be in there in your opinion?
Well, I don't know. I think all of them deemed it. Davis is the only one that, to me, that didn't look like it. I think Dwight Howard over Davis. Even Sean Kemp. I mean, Sean Kemp over Davis. Sean Kemp was unbelievable when he played. But I don't think he had enough to make it into the top 75. But I mean, you're pulling strings when you get to that level of a player.
Nope, you're totally right. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Take care.
One more thing on the handshake.
Oh, yeah, CJ, no problem.
Well, I just wanted to add this. I do know, when you talk about it, the handshake line, I think that the 5-game, maybe not. But as far as handshake goes, I know that there's teams that don't do it in certain other sports. I know football doesn't do it. I know there's the in wrestling that the guys will run over and shake the coach's hand. There's certain Beaver Creek doesn't shake hands. They just personally they do not do that as a high school, and I know that there's Lay doesn't shake hands afterwards.
Is that a COVID thing, CJ, or has that always been that way?
Well, in wrestling, it was a COVID thing that shaking hands stopped, but Beaver Creek's coach, Gary Weiss, never wanted because of incidents that happened.
No, I laugh at that. And CJ, thank you. I get a good kick out of, wrestling got rid of the handshakes because of COVID, but, go ahead and,
put me in a headlock,
sweaty and rolling all over a mat together. But hey, don't shake hands; you'll get COVID. Like that cracks me up. I have no problem diving into this part. I think the name, and Kev, this is not to get you all fired up.
Oh boy,
Tracy McGrady is the most disrespected name on all that list. I think Tony Parker's right there at the top when you look at all his postseason accolades and everything as well, and who he was as a player overall. But Tracy McGrady, I would put in over your boy, Carmelo Anthony.
Woo! Don't know about that.
Without diving into the numbers just quite yet, what is it that Carmelo brings to the table that Tracy McGrady did not?
I think they're basically the same player. I think they scored like a maniac, and basically had the same playoff success. Both of them would be in my top 75. I think both of them are definitely deserving, and Tracy McGrady is definitely on my list.
And maybe it doesn't have to be a conversation of put T-Mac in, take Carmelo out, but if we're doing a addition subtraction thing as far as player comparison, and
I'm an overachiever.
So
I'm an overachiever because I did.
I'm sure you did.
I did.
Now, when I look at Carmelo, I've always thought Tracy McGrady just never got that attention that he deserved, and it's amazing because of how much love Carmelo Anthony gets. And I think if Carmelo's not one of LeBron's best friends, I don't think we talk about Carmelo as much as the way we do. Mainly because Carmelo scores, just like every scorer in the league. But Tracy McGrady did all of that as well, but also was one heck of a defensive player as well. I did not realize how similar their numbers were. I did not realize how close they were. Career-wise, Carmelo averaging only 22 a game, but I'm not going to knock him for that, mainly because he's choosing to do what Allen Iverson couldn't, and that was put his pride on the back burner and learn how to adapt to playing after your talents kind of slipped away a bit. But Carmelo averages 22 and a half a game, Tracy at 20. So that's where we're at. And Tracy played about 3 or 4 years of coming off the bench and played a couple years with the Spurs. So that kind of hurt his points per game average. Rebounding, slight edge to Carmelo Anthony. Assists per game, double. Tracy McGrady doubles Carmelo. Steals per game, advantage Tracy McGrady. Blocks Tracy McGrady. Obviously the total points, but the rebounds, I think there's about 1,500 more for Carmelo Anthony, but assists, I mean, there's over 1,100 more assists for Tracy McGrady, who has played in way less seasons. Total steals is the same. Blocks through the roof. That in 3-point percentage, talking about field goal percentage, all that. To me, I look at what T-Mac has done, and I think T-Mac just does not get enough attention for what he has done, mainly because the way the announcers talked about Carmelo during that, I was like, hold up. The reason I got a problem with the way they talk about Carmelo is because what were your reasons to keep Tracy McGrady out? And it's a recency thing with Carmelo that I think had him in when this 75 list came out that I think T-Mac would have been in if the roles were reversed at this exact moment. I thought Tracy McGrady had more of an impact as far as if we want to talk about how MJ had that impact with the shoe sales. T-Mac still makes millions off of his shoe deals and everything. Like, I still think he's made a bigger impact as far as that's concerned there. Splitting hairs, it's not really about Carmelo versus Tracy McGrady. That's just where my head went when I saw Carmelo make it and Tracy McGrady did it. I'm like, they're the same damn player, and I think there's a slight edge to T-Mac. Very similar narratives too. The first round of the playoffs, neither guy could figure it out. It took leaving Orlando, it took leaving Denver before really. Actually, Denver was pretty solid.
Yeah, they went
Kenyon
to the Western
Martin
Conference Finals.
And Allen Iverson and stuff like that. But that's who I really like. Tony Parker. I thought Tony Parker could have honestly been in there too. Again, a 4-time NBA champion, an NBA Finals MVP, 6-time NBA All-Star, 3-time NBA second team. All that. That's where I'm at with that. Here's the other thing about Carmelo that I did not realize. He's never been an All-NBA first team. Sorry, I'm going back to Carmelo. When I saw Tony's stats, it made me think of that. All-NBA teams, Tracy McGrady has more All-NBA team selections. He has more scoring titles. He has more All-NBA first team selections. That's why T-Mac I would have picked over Carmelo as far as that's concerned.
You ain't getting no argument.
But you are a
me.
Syracuse fan, so I get it.
You ain't hearing me argue. I agree. T-Mac should definitely be on that list. Is that your 5?
No, I haven't even given my 5, but those were 2.
Oh, okay. For me, the number one guy, and CJ already talked about it, but Dwight Howard. I think Dwight Howard should have been on that list 10 times over Anthony Davis. The things that Anthony Davis does, like talent-wise, Anthony Davis is more talented than Dwight Howard was in his prime. But dominant, Dwight Howard was super dominant, not only in the offensive end, where he obviously has change his game because they don't throw it to the post anymore and the game has changed, yada, yada, yada. But he was such a defensive impact player, not only guarding on the pick and roll as the game changed, but in the paint, blocking shots, rebounding, all that type of stuff. I think he won like 3 years in a row Defensive Player of the Year, got to the finals and everything like that with Jameer Nelson. Who else was on that team? Rashad, I can't remember who was the shooter.
Yeah, he played for Seattle. He was Lewis.
Yes, Rashard Lewis. And guys, you know what I'm saying? And a matter of fact, I believe that was JJ Redick's, I want to say, I was going to say freshman year, but rookie year that they went to the finals and eventually lost, everything like that. I definitely think that Dwight Howard should have been on there. And if it was a person that I'm removing, I immediately go to Anthony Davis. As for Tracy McGrady, the guy that I would personally remove from that list to put Tracy McGrady in would be Dame. I think that Tracy McGrady's impact on the game versus Dame's impact on the game are kind of parallel. You know, Dame, how can I say this? Steph gets quote unquote blame / credit for the 3 ball and shooting the 3 and the deep threes and everything like that. The next person in line for that quote unquote blame is Dame. But outside of that, outside of his personal accomplishments, Tracy McGrady does that tenfold and just the flair of the game. So if I was going to be picking that list, I personally would remove Dame to put T-Mac in. And you know how much I love Dame. So that's where I'm at with it. Another person for me, I would put Klay Thompson in on that 75 and I will remove Reggie Miller. I'm old enough to watch Reggie Miller play a ton of basketball. Reggie Miller was good, but I think that Reggie Miller is on this list for those 3 playoff moments. Obviously, the 8 points at the Garden, everything like that. Him making it to the finals, even though he was the 3rd option on that team. People forget that Jalen Rose was the number 1 option on that Indiana Pacers team that went to the finals against the Lakers. Rick Smits was the number 2 option, and Reggie Miller was the number 3 option. No knock on him. He's still a great player, Hall of Famer. I just don't think that he would be on my top 75. So I would put Klay in over him. And this is where I'm going to get our older listeners a little upset. I'm putting in Manu Ginobili over Lenny Wilkens. Lenny Wilkens, remember, this is the top 75 NBA players. NBA players. Lenny Wilkens obviously was a coach with the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Atlanta Hawks. When Lenny Wilkens was a dog leading the league in steals and assists and everything like that, that was the ABA. Look at his quote-unquote NBA numbers. This is the 75 NBA. I know there was a merger between the NBA and ABA, but those years don't count in my book because they're only starting from the 75 years, right? So for me, the best Lenny Wilkens years were before the merger and before it became the NBA as we know it. So I will remove Lenny Wilkens, Coach Lenny Wilkens, still a great player. And then for me, the number 5 one, another time we're going to make our listeners upset. I'm putting in Chris Bosh over Bill Walton. The reason we can do this is because Bill Walton only played 4 years in the NBA. Obviously won a championship out there in Portland, and then his body fell apart. No knock. It's not his fault. It happens. But he won a 6 Man of the Year with the Boston Celtics and another championship with Larry Bird and everything like that. But go check the stats. Go check how many minutes he played. He wasn't out there until the year that they won the championship.
Yeah, Bill Walton being in.
So because this is the NBA. This is the NBA. This isn't the Naismith Hall of Fame basketball, because the basketball takes up your entire career, things that you've done in high school, college, and professional level, not the NBA. This is the NBA 75. I'm putting in Chris Bosh. I know he was like the third man out with the Miami Heat and everything like that, but look what he was doing with the Toronto Raptors. He was a monster with the Toronto Raptors. He was getting the Toronto Raptors into the playoffs. Yeah, they were squeaking into the playoffs, but he was getting them there. And then obviously won championships with the Heat. So I will put in Chris Bosh before Bill Walton. And I know our older listeners are calling in right now, like acting like I don't know what I'm talking about. But Lenny Wilkins, his best years were in the ABA, where he was leading them in steals and assists. When he had like 2 good years in the NBA, I believe it was with the Sonics and everything like that. I'm putting in Manu over Lenny Wilkins. I'm putting Chris Bosh in over Bill Walton.
I'd put Kevin Love in over Bosh. Woo! I mean, again, it's not Bosh's fault, the heart issue, of course, but longevity. And I'm saying this because of the turnaround that Kevin Love has had this year. Kevin Love's been down for a few years, but they're basically the same damn player. They've actually had very similar roles as far as kind of the, they jumped on the LeBron train, to a championship, and they were the third wheel that were dominant players on their teams before Chris Bosh, played in the Eastern Conference in Toronto. So that's why, into the playoffs for Toronto, I didn't put a whole lot of, so you could say Kevin Love in Minnesota didn't make the playoffs there. Well, that's fine, but that's also the Western Conference, more difficult to have success in there. But again, it is what you're splitting. This is that splitting hairs thing. I don't think you can go wrong with either. Bosh is the flashier pick, of course, but I think Kevin Love Kevin Love's game changed too. Kevin Love was a bruiser down low. He was built like Jokic. He didn't play like him, but he was a rebound. I mean, every time you'd see the stat line at the bottom, and he's at Minnesota, is 20 and 20. He was pulling down. He wasn't pulling down 20 a game, but it was a regular thing. Every other game, every couple of games, he's pulling down 20 rebounds. All right, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We're going to step away for a few moments. 518-1410. For those of you who love the NBA, I know some of you don't. That's totally fine. But when you look at the NBA top 75 list, who are some names that you felt deserved to be in? Who are some names you felt deserved to not be in, or at least be taken out and replaced by some names on the outside? I am curious. I thought Tracy McGrady and Tony Parker were the top two I'd have put at the top of that list. Draymond Green, I hear a lot of. I can't get on board with the Draymond Green thing. I don't know why, but I think that he's a great defensive player, but I don't think he's dominant at both ends of the floor. I think that some of that matters. We're talking about the top 75 players. The top 75. That means you are well-rounded. You're dominant at both ends of the floor. I don't think that you could just be a really good player at one end of the floor, not the other, and be in the top 75. I'm sure there's an exception to that rule that Kev can correct me on. Well, there we go. Shut up, Kev. We'll be back.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be cloudy, a high near 33. Tonight's going to be cloudy with snow and a wintry mix, a low near 25. And tomorrow's going to be cloudy with snow and a wintry mix, a high near 36. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather brought to you by Cullet Propane, keeping utilities simple and families warm since 1952. See how and more at culletpropane.com.
O'Reilly.
This is Claudia's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
I had just moved to a new city and barely even knew where the grocery store was yet. When my car wouldn't start one morning, I didn't know who to ask about local shops. But I remembered a name from back home, O'Reilly Auto Parts. I called and they pointed me to a great mechanic just down the street. Now I feel a little more at home.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Water stains on the shower glass. Try rubbing some shaving cream on them.
Tyler's cleaning crew knows every housekeeping trick in the book.
Handling timesheets now.
But they need a proper bookkeeper to keep finances tidy.
New equipment is a business expense, right?
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
And now an important message from Exergen. A critical new FDA study proves that non-contact thermometers are not accurate. They also have inaccurate information on their labels regarding accuracy. New COVID strains are on the rise, and non-contact manufacturers are being irresponsible at a time when accuracy matters. Accurate temperature measurements are essential. Switch to Exergen because they are accurate and backed by over 100 clinical studies. Be sure, be accurate with Exergen. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Ready for a chicken sandwich that's a kick above the rest? Then Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken has just what you're looking for with a spicy chicken sandwich combo at a great price. The kick you crave is here with a premium all-white meat chicken breast that's spicy marinated and hand-breaded with a kick. Served with creamy chipotle ranch all on a brioche bun, it's the chicken sandwich others aspire to be. Get the chicken sandwich perfected with the spicy chicken sandwich combo at a great price. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
KTH Parts Industries has immediate openings for second and third shift production associates and equipment technicians. KTH promotes from within, offers an attractive benefit package including medical, dental, 401k, attendance bonus, and a competitive wage, starting at $19 per hour with annual increases and shift differential. KTH will be hosting walk-in interviews Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. through 3 p.m. Please bring a resume and photo ID to apply or see other career opportunities at kth.net. KTH is an equal opportunity employer.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Hey team, it's a full house. We got to pick up the pace.
At Hank's Restaurant, the line goes around the block.
Is this for 12? Okay, I need the truffle oil drizzle.
What he needs is another line cook.
Oh man, are the quail breasts still in the sous vide? Dave, can you keep an eye on that, please?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
God, I'm so stressed. It's a brand new year and our business is busier than ever.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 35 features.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Starts at $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit Ooma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Ooma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
At McAfee, they're more than just an air temperature company. They're an air quality company. Breathe easy. Choose McAfee.
My heart was racing just making spaghetti. I could have waited to tell my doctor, but I didn't wait.
I was short of breath just reading a book. I could have delayed telling my doctor, but I didn't wait.
They told their doctors and found out they have atrial fibrillation, a condition which makes it about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you have one or more of these symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, this is no time to wait. Contact your doctor.
Brought to you by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
I need postcards printed and designed. Oh, and a targeted direct mail campaign.
It's possible. at Staples.
I need my presentation printed, bound, and perfect.
Also possible. With Staples Print Big Promise, your small business marketing will make a big impact. And right now, get 20% off custom printed signs, banners, and posters when you spend $75 or more. Explore what's new at Staples, the working and learning store. Ends 2/26. Visit staples.com/signage for details.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, Body Shop Manager at Germain Honda Beaver Creek. Our technicians have over 125 years of total experience. That means we can repair your vehicle correctly and efficiently. So when you need a dependable body shop, we're here. And we repair all makes and models with new state-of-the-art equipment to get you back on the road quickly. Plus, we offer loaner cars during service and free estimates. Stop by and see us. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, State Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
The Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash live here on Dayton's ESPN Radio Show. Dayton's ESPN Radio Show. 518-1410. It's the number to call in and jump in on the conversation. For you wrestling fans out there, WWE is going to be WWE Monday Night Raw will be in Columbus this coming up Monday night. We have quite a few tickets to give away. So, for your best opportunity to win these tickets, all you have to do is head to Facebook, search the Justin Kenner Show Facebook page, and share the live video. You have to like the Facebook page, okay? You have to like the Justin Kenner Show Facebook page, and you have to share the live video feed. Everyone that likes the page and shares the video feed will be entered into a drawing to win these tickets. They are Ticketmaster, so we'll just be able to send them right to your phone. It's that dang easy, and pretty excited about that. In fact, on Friday, Paul Heyman, one of my all-time favorites. He's not even a wrestler. He's just a WWE star. He's a manager, whatever you want to call him. But I love Paul Heyman, and he's going to come on the show on Friday, which I'm pretty jacked about. So head to Facebook. If you want tickets, a pair of tickets to Monday Night Raw in Columbus, we'll be doing a drawing from everyone that likes the page and shares the live video feed. If you already like the page, then all you got to go do is share the live video feed on Facebook. And if you don't like the Facebook page, for those of you listening in, every one of you has Facebook. Head to Facebook, share the live video feed, and make sure you like the page. If you share the video feed and then I see you don't like the page, you're not gonna have a chance to win the ticket. So make sure you like the page, share it, and there you go. I'm trying to gain followers back after I pissed everyone off the night of the Super Bowl. Kev, I lost like a ton. I had it over 1,000. I had finally grown the page to over 1,000 people. I lost about 100 when I changed my profile picture to the Rams.
Imagine that.
I knew, like, I've been trying to figure out where the line is with the Bengals fans for like well over 2 years now. And I was like, I poked the bear daily. And I finally did it. I finally pushed him over the edge. It was that night. I got called every name that you can possibly imagine, but I got a good kick out of that. So I now know where they stand. Don't mess with them on Super Bowl Sunday night. But, their misery brought a smile to my face, just like the Browns, my misery with the Browns all year brought smiles to their faces.
Schadenfreude.
Tit for tat. So there you go.
Schadenfreude. Joy out of others' misery.
It is what it is. But again, if you're just tuning in, go to Facebook, like the Justin Kenner Show Facebook page, share the live video feed, and from there, everyone who likes and shares it will be entered into a drawing to win a pair of WWE Monday Night Raw tickets, which they'll be in Columbus on Monday night, Nationwide Arena. So keep that in mind. While we're on that, I'm going to get back to the NBA stuff in just a few moments, but I found this interesting. You'll find it interesting. Your former cornerback. And,
you'll like this.
Mike Hilton. Yeah. Mike Hilton is doing everything he can to recruit star free agents to the Bengals this offseason. I like Mike Hilton. I actually liked him when he was at Pittsburgh. It ticked me off when Cincinnati picked him up.
Me too.
While everyone was bragging about the Awuzie pick last year, and I'm like, yeah, or the free agent get. I'm like, yeah, that's not the one I'm worried about. Although he wasn't terrible, he was better for Cincinnati than he was in Dallas. He was bad in Dallas, but Hilton, that was a game changer. That was you want to talk about Zach Taylor and the Bengals changing culture in Cincinnati and bringing a winning mentality and a toughness mentality. That's Mike Hilton. He brought that with him from Pittsburgh. Bengals fans, you could thank Kevin, the Pittsburgh Steelers, for that addition right there because, 6 games in 2 years, you didn't have a whole lot of winners in that locker room. It took guys like Mike Hilton to come in and really turn things around. So just keep that in mind. But Mike Hilton is doing, according to this article right here, Mike Hilton is doing everything he can, according to Bengals.com. The Sports Illustrated, is the one that put this out, James Rapine. Mike Hilton's doing everything he can to recruit free agents to the Bengals this offseason. The veteran free agent reached out to Laramie Tunsil about potentially coming to Cincinnati earlier this week. He followed it up by tweeting Patriot star J.C. Jackson. Let me ask, why is Mike Hilton doing all this? Why isn't Joey B? Why isn't your star diva quarterback the one pounding the table trying to get these guys to come play to Cincinnati? It's Cincinnati. There's not a whole lot to do. Your quarterback even said that. You're going to need as much help convincing these people that Cincinnati is where you want to come play football. Good for Mike Hilton. The Bengals don't deserve Mike Hilton. If their diva quarterback who's too busy learning how to, move his hands during a rap song, with Kid Cudi, if he's too busy hanging out with his celebrity friends while Mike Hilton's having to do all the heavy lifting, that's a shame. That's a shame.
It's hilarious that I'm glad you finished reading that because he did reach out to C.J. Jackson, the corner from the Patriots. But Tunsil, is an offensive lineman. So I thought that he was only reaching out to offensive linemen. If he was only reaching out to free agent offensive linemen like Tunsil or Orlando Brown, I would have found that super hilarious because he'd be like, we don't need no help on this side of the ball. We know what the problem is.
But that J.C. Jackson would be an interesting one.
Man, he about to break the bank.
And the Patriots won't give that money to him. We've seen this movie before. We know how it ends. And that'd be a good fit in Cincinnati. It's a good fit. Look, it's a good defensive back. He's a good fit anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
I love when people say he'd be a great fit in Cincinnati. He's a great defensive back. There's a great fit anywhere. Let's just be honest. But I also don't like the arrogance of fans where they say, well, the Bengals have Joe Burrow, free agents. They're going to line up to come here. You act like, first of all, Joe Burrow's not even the best of all the quarterbacks that have really good Super Bowl contending teams that these free agents can go to. And there's warmer, better spots to go live in than Cincinnati, Ohio. So let's just be clear. If you're talking about a good defensive, I'd rather go play Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City. I'd rather go play for Andy Reid. I'd rather go play over there. If there's a lot of great teams and quarterbacks I'd rather go play for than go to, to Cincinnati. I'm just saying that now. Joe Burrow needs to be the one spearheading this recruiting effort, not Mike Hilton. But good for Mike Hilton, and it takes a winner to do that. Just throwing that out there.
I can't with you.
Oh, well, I'm a fan of a team that has players just begging to get out. So, salt it is. Yeah, Damon Hahn says it's because Hilton is a leader. Too much credit goes to Joe Burrow. I agree. But anyways, all right. We welcome you back. 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. Talk about the NBA top 75. Talk about the names that made it, of course, that everyone found interesting. What about names like Paul Gasol?
Mm-hmm.
Top 75 worthy?
No.
I think he's top 100 worthy. Fine with him not being in there. Part of me, because when you start seeing these, you hear the players' names. I'm like, everyone's talking about Dwight Howard, Paul Gasol. Dwight Howard just blew Paul Gasol out of the water as far as that's concerned. From an overall, I should say, I will take Paul Gasol's career.
Oh yeah,
over Dwight Howard's career, but I will take Dwight Howard in that 5-year window where he was the most dominant center in the NBA at that time. As far as especially defensively, very good offensively, but he went that next level defensively. Klay Thompson's an interesting one. You said Klay Thompson over Reggie Miller.
Yeah,
I had a problem with that at first. I want Reggie Miller in. I want Ray Allen out.
What?
I want Ray Allen out.
He is superior to both of them as career-wise. Remember, this is a career, not the segment of their career.
Reggie Miller was at least in MVP conversations. Ray Allen never was. I like Ray Allen. I got to get out of this. It's that Ray Allen run with Boston that I thought he got way too much credit for. I think he was a hell of a role player. I hated the Boston Celtics being referenced as the big three, Kev. That was not a big three. That drives me crazy to this day when Kevin Garnett says, we started the big three. But no, you didn't. The Heat built a legitimate big three with Bosh, LeBron, and Wade. Like, that was a legitimate big three. I never looked at Ray Allen as a bit. Ray Allen was a perfect complementary piece to Pierce and Garnett. Anytime you could have a big and a guard or a forward like Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, that for that era of basketball at that time, that was the best duo. That was the perfect duo. Think about the teams that were good at that time. That's why you had your Jameer Nelson, your Dwight Howard. That's how that team got to the finals. It was a dominant guard. Jameer Nelson, that's too much credit for him as far as putting him with that Kobe conference, but a really, really good guard with shooters around him with the dominant big in the middle. That was Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, and then your shooter and Ray Allen. And then you look at the Lakers, you had Kobe Bryant, your Pau Gasol. They complemented one another perfect. They didn't get in each other's way. Kobe took care of everything. Ball handling wise, Pau Gasol was very, flexible as far as that's concerned. I'll take Klay Thompson over Ray Allen. I'll take Klay Thompson over Reggie Miller. I had to think about it. Reggie Miller was one of my favorites growing up, but I'll take Reggie over Ray Allen as far as I'm concerned.
As far as Ray Allen and Reggie Miller are concerned, just like we giving Chris Bosh credit and Carmelo Anthony credit and Kevin Love credit for adapting their games and changing their bodies and everything like that, Ray Allen did that before both of them. He was a scorer when he was with the Milwaukee Bucks. He was a scorer when he was with the Seattle Seahawks, Supersonics. It wasn't until he got to Boston till he became that knockdown three-point shooter. Yeah, he could shoot when he was with those teams, but him to be a sniper the way he was with the Celtics and Heat and everything like that, like, obviously this is the NBA, but like his college career was crazy too. Like, I remember him and Allen Iverson in the Big East championship game going shot for shot. And we all know how much of a killer Allen Iverson was, especially at Georgetown. So I just, like, man, like, to see his game change to basically being willing to adapt his game, because I mean, at that time, you watched it, Paul Pierce was just like, give me the ball, get out the way. And Ray Allen was the guy, or the odd man out, took a back seat to say, like, all right, well, if it's going to be a two-man game with him and KG, I'll be that spot up three-point shooter. And that ultimately extended his career. And then he became like a world-renowned three-point shooter, something that he wasn't like his first phase of his career. So I give him a ton of credit for that. Ray has got to be on my list.
I'm going to take a guy that I know is not going to get love from anybody. Russell Westbrook should be in the top 75.
He is.
I thought they listed him as a snub.
No, he's in there.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a horrible sports host rating. I was testing you to see if you knew.
I passed with flying colors.
No, I have this Sports Illustrated. This is top 75 snubs. I guess ESPN put out a list and didn't include him.
I didn't even look at ESPN.
No, this is the Sports Illustrated. Yeah, Sports Illustrated reacting to ESPN's top 75. Okay, ignore my take.
So ESPN didn't have Russ in there?
I guess not.
Like, well, we talk about recency bias. Like that's the biggest
where that's
form is. Like, come on, like, I may not have ever been.
So my bad on that, folks. I misread that, but continue.
I may have never been the biggest Russ fan in the world, but like, there's no denying like what he's been able to do in the NBA, and especially like from an individual standpoint. Because I think when we're talking about the 75 best players of all time, I think that's where you can talk about like what they do as an individual more than what their team success is. You know, hey man, Randy Brown's got like 3 championship rings. Nobody's saying he should be in the top 75. You know what I'm saying? Steve Kerr, he won like 5 straight NBA championships. Nobody's saying he should be in there. So when we're talking about top 75 players of all time, this is like, quote unquote, one of those rare occasions where, all right, man, stats really do matter, because it's about what you produce and how much you are producing when you're on the basketball court and all that type of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, without a doubt, I mean, we can go back and forth about, all right, how many of Russ's rebounds are real rebounds? Like, we can nerd out about that if we want, but like, come on, man, like, let's be for real here. Like, he's a beast.
So 518-1410, by the way. So I'm getting about the The Lamar. I'm sorry. I'm reading your Facebook comments. Nick on Facebook, the Joe Burrow comment, of course. Joe Burrow does the recruiting when the player comes to town. Give me a break. Stop. You don't know that. Ask Riley Reef. Riley Reef. Oh yeah, Riley Reef. Okay. Lamar Shelley, Mike Hilton, baby. That's the real success story of the Bengals right there. Lamar Shelley, did you watch Ray Allen in Seattle and Milwaukee? Are you crazy? Did I say Ray Allen's not good? I didn't say he wasn't good. I know he's good. I just said, give me Reggie Miller over Ray Allen. I'd put Klay Thompson in. You said Klay Thompson in over Reggie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, I put Reggie in. If we're taking Reggie out for Klay Thompson, then I'm going to put Reggie back in for Ray Allen.
Go look at them stats. And you the stat man of the show. Go look at them stats.
Reggie finished with more points than Ray Allen.
Did he?
Not by much, but he did. And Reggie was in MVP conversations. Again, didn't get it, but I mean, when you're in that MVP conversation, and the flip side, that 2004 season, they're winning that damn title that year. They're
the Malice at the Palace.
Malice at the Palace year. If it wasn't for psychopath Ron Artest, they're probably winning that title that year. So that's what was disappointing. And that when you watch that Malice at the Palace documentary, that's the thing that they talk about that was most heartbreaking whenever the dust settled, is that ultimately that caught like Reggie. That whole season was built around Reggie, about getting him that title, because they had a legitimate shot. Now, the crazy thing is the Pistons and the Pacers that year were the two best teams in that Eastern Conference, of course, and it was all about those two teams. Like, that was supposed to be your Eastern Conference Finals. That was there was a hatred between the two, as you can obviously see. I mean, that was the last of that old school. That changed that fast forwarded us into the, they always talk about WWE going into that PG era. You could thank Ron Artest or Ron, whatever the hell his name is now.
Or the person that threw a beer at him.
Yeah. Well, again, just like Juwan Howard, you don't have to swing. You don't have to run up 7 rows into the stands to actually, if someone throws a beer at me too. But you know how much beer is at these damn games?
Exactly.
Throwing it at people. Like, my goodness. I don't care how angry I get. If I spend that much on a beer, I'm not throwing it at anybody. I might throw my empty cup at you if I'm mad at you, but I'd be like, hey, I'd chug it, then chuck it. Chug and chuck. Chug and chuck, baby. You don't throw the full beer. I mean, that guy just must be made of money. All I know is my favorite punch of all time is you're watching the Malice at the Palace, and the next thing you know, there goes Jermaine O'Neal. Long ass arms, full extension, just clocks that guy. He just knocks him out. Anyways, 518-1410. Kevin,
South Carolina's finest.
Okay, who we got?
We got Charles on 3.
Charles, how are you, sir? Charlos. I almost said Charlie. We have Nick.
Yep.
Is this Nick? Maybe our phones are down because we're not even hearing anything in the background. Let's figure out these phone lines. 518-1410. Get back. We'll load up these calls again. I didn't even hear like a buzz in the background. Usually
that's not good.
It's probably our internet. 518-1410. That's the number to call in and jump in on the conversation. Are you checking that? Let's step away for a few moments. We're going to take a look at these phones and see what we got going on. And then we'll take your calls back on the other side. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, Adam Selzner, whatever. Ray Allen doesn't happen without Reggie Miller. I love Reggie Miller, and it's making me say bad things about Ray Allen. I don't even have any dislike for Ray Allen. I do think my fandom for Reggie's coming through and my bias take on this, but I don't think it's that biased. I just think Reggie, if I had to pick, well, let me ask you, Kev. I mean, if you're talking, if you had to pick one of them in their prime, who you taking?
Ray Allen. He can do more. He can do more. He can dribble the ball. Like, when have you ever seen Reggie Miller initiate the offense?
He's too busy making buckets. I will say, what I loved, I've never seen a player like Ray Allen, though, adapt his game to be dominant in 2 different eras.
Like that.
So that I will give an edge to.
Like, literally from one season to the next.
Reggie had to shoot, and that's all he had. And once he got a little older and slower, it wasn't that case. So that I can from that perspective, I respect Ray Allen because of his capability. I mean, you think of Ray Allen that back stretch when he got to Boston, and then even into Miami Heat. that was a whole career in itself. That was a dominant run in itself. So again, I'm not bashing Ray Allen. All I'm saying is I just like Reggie more, but I do understand people.
So you go look at like this. You go from a 27-point a game scorer, and then the very next year you go to a 17-point a game scorer, playing it 4 less minutes. So you're basically playing the same amount of minutes. But you look at the 3-point attempts, you going from 3 a game to 6 a game. Like, that's like adapting on the fly. Like, I give a lot of credit for that. And, this isn't about the 75 greatest players of all time, man. But, man, how much pressure is on Doc Rivers, man, to get another championship? Because they won that their first year. And he's blown several 3-1 leads as a coach. Now they made that trade for James Harden with Embiid having the best season of his career, potentially going to be MVP. Man, Doc Rivers, man, something got to happen, man. You got to at least get back to the finals again.
My thing is this, that list came out, top 25 NBA coaches of all time. Eric Spoelstra's on that list.
Yes, sir.
No, absolutely.
Yes, sir.
No.
Yes, sir.
No.
Went back to the finals without the precious LeBron and D-Wade and Bosh.
Oh, we're going to give them credit for getting to the finals in the bubble, but LeBron gets his title taken away because he won it.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, I mean,
you never heard me say that.
You need help sitting up. Your shoulders look tired.
I never said that. You bring in arguments other people are saying to me. Me and you are talking. I didn't say that.
On the same boat.
I know.
And by the way, the guy that could play 1 through 5, defend 1 through 5, can have more points, rebounds, assists than the guy that has number 1. I'm just saying, let's just get that out of the way now.
Whose shoes you buying?
Go LeBron. Huh?
Whose shoes you gonna buy?
T-Mac, baby.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Don't leave money on the table. FAFSA could help the journey to college be less of a financial burden. We also help with filling out FAFSA, so it's less stressful for you. Visit itsforyou.org to use free resources to get free federal student financial aid for college. Visit itsforyou.org to learn more. Sponsored by the Ohio Department of Higher Education. Aired by the Ohio Association of Broadcasters and this station.
The Big Hoopla is celebrating their 10th anniversary this year and will hit a milestone 100,000 tickets donated to airmen, their families, and students when combined with Hometown Heroes events in those 10 years. This furthers our region's commitment to supporting our military during the 75th anniversary year of the Air Force. The 2022 NCAA First Four Men's Basketball Tournament, Tuesday, March 15 and Wednesday, March 16 at UD Arena. Get your tickets and donate to be a part of our mission at DaytonHoopla.com.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Are you involved with a school or charitable fundraiser that holds an auction, bid and buy booth, or a raffle to raise money? Many of the most popular items at auctions or booths are autographed sports memorabilia items. How can you get great items in your event? Call Adam Walter at Sports Investments. Sports Investments has a consignment program for fundraisers that has provided outstanding items. You select items that are proven sellers, including autographed pieces from Tiger Woods, LeBron James, Joey Votto, the Big Red Machine, the Bengals, the Browns, UC, XU, UK, NKU, Dayton, Louisville, Notre Dame, and Ohio State. Sports Investments consigns the items to your group at a highly discounted price. And when they sell, you keep the profit. You don't pay anything in advance. And if something doesn't sell, you simply return it. You'll enjoy the experience of dealing with the Walter family. Call them at 513-891-5000. Email Adam at sportsinvestments.com or visit them on Montgomery Road, right off I-275, just 40 minutes from WING.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Ray Magliozzi here. eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. And if there's one thing I love, it's great parts and great prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
O'Reilly. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, get up to a $15 gift card after mail-in rebate when you purchase select Superstart batteries. With the power, performance, and reliability your vehicle demands, Superstart batteries are designed for lasting performance and consistent starts. Turn the key with confidence. Superstart batteries only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hey team, it's a full house. We got to pick up the pace.
At Hank's Restaurant, the line goes around the block.
Is this for 12? Okay, I need the truffle oil drizzle.
What he needs is another line cook.
Oh man, are the quail breasts still in the sous vide? Dave, can you keep an eye on that, please?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
TrackPhone wants to know, are you an influencer? A big live streamer? No? Then guess what? You don't need an endless data plan. Get just the right amount of data with TrackPhone's $40 unlimited talk and text smartphone plan. Now with 8 gigs of high-speed data and unlimited carryover on America's largest, most dependable network, now with 5G. Get the data you need at the price you want. TrackPhone Wireless. Now you're in control. Available at major retailers. 5G compatible device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See terms and conditions at TrackPhone.com.
Hey everyone, this is Rudy with Ohio Can. Did you know there are more than 200,000 young people in Ohio being raised by grandparents, relatives, and close friends? Kinship and adoptive families. Sound like you? If so, we want to say thank you. You are amazing. We also want you to know the entire team at Ohio Can Kinship and Adoption Navigator program is here for you. Have questions about childcare, education, finances, or more? Ohio Can help. Remember the K for kinship and call 1-844-OHIO-KAN or visit ohiokan.org to learn more.
At the Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission, we help veterans and their dependents navigate the process of applying for benefits administered by the VA. We can assist with VA claims, pensions, and a variety of benefits, including emergency financial assistance, transportation, and legal services. If you are a veteran or a spouse of a veteran, a wide range of services may be available to you, always at no cost to the veteran. We are honored and proud to serve all Miami Valley veterans. Contact us today at 937-225-4801.
Ray Magliozzi here. eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. And if there's one thing I love, it's great parts and great prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
You want more local content from Dayton's ESPN radio station 1410 Wing AM? Make sure you subscribe to the WING 1410 Dayton YouTube channel, where you can watch all your local shows live or go back and rewatch previous episodes of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, the Keith Byers Show, Talking Out Loud with Sully, and more.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you if you could simply take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. I buy all types of real estate completely as is. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, rental portfolios. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer and speak with one of our friendly staff members at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Hey, team, it's a full house. We got to pick up the pace.
At Hank's Restaurant, the line goes around the block.
Is this for 12? Okay, I need the truffle oil drizzle.
What he needs is another line cook.
Oh, man. Are the quail breasts still in the sous vide? Dave, can you keep an eye on that, please?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio.
What? I tell you what.
Come on,
with all the reports today, by the way, there is talks. There are reports coming out of Cleveland. I don't think Cleveland knows what they want to do. I think Cleveland's kicking the tires on a potential rebuild. I think they're really kicking the tires on that. Potentially trading away some picks. And trading away some picks doesn't necessarily mean that, you're right away wanting to lead to a rebuild. But at the same time, I think Cleveland's very conflicted right now as far as what they want to do. Because the big thing for them is they are a quarterback away from competing with all the top teams in the AFC. No doubt about it. They did it 2 years ago when everyone was healthy. I think the roster is even better now than that team, but something's happened behind the scenes that has led to total meltdown. But you are saying another interesting anecdote out of the AFC, while the quarterback for the Bengals is not helping recruit to Cincinnati and Mike Hilton's doing all the work, his former team might have their quarterback situation figured out, because Ryan Clark the other day on ESPN's Get Up talked about how Pittsburgh, if you are coming out, and this is kind of reminds me, this is why I agreed with Ryan Clark. This reminds me of why I got onto the Bengals last week when Zach Taylor came out and said, don't knock our offensive line. That offensive line just got us to a Super Bowl. You don't have to, and I got annoyed with that. Everyone's like, well, what do you want him to say? Not that. He does not have to come out and over glorify that offensive line. They are trash. They know it. You know it. And he knows it. So just because it doesn't mean that he has to go to the media and say, man, this offensive line is trash. For one, you wouldn't be telling us anything we already don't know. And we know that they're bad no matter what you tell us. So don't feed us BS like, oh, well, that offensive line was good enough to get us to a Super Bowl. So I said last week, you don't have to talk to us like we're stupid. We know that it's a trash offensive line. You don't have to come out and say that. You could just come out and say offensive line, as any position that we can upgrade, we'll take a look at this offseason. Boom, you move on. You don't have to say these things. So the Steelers, Ryan Clark got onto the Steelers for the same thing I got onto the Bengals for last week. The Steelers had come out, and I believe it was their GM, even though
Kevin Colbert.
But when does he resign? After the draft?
After the draft.
So he had come out and said that the 2022 season, they are entering the season with Mason Rudolph as their starting quarterback. Now, again,
is that what I thought he said if it was today?
Either way, what Ryan Clark said, no, because it came, well, let me pull it up just to be sure. But either way, first of all, even if it is today, you don't say that. We don't need to hear that it's Mason Rudolph. And so Ryan Clark come out and said, they are no longer the Steelers of the past. They are no longer trying to win championships if this is their mindset.
Right.
And you could argue that was the case when they gave Big Ben big money years ago, knowing that he was on the downside of his career, even though I still thought Big Ben, they failed putting a better offensive line around him. I thought you could have probably got another year or two out of him, to be honest. If you look at him statistically this year, Kev, I know the eye test tells you he was bad, but that O-line was bad.
Oh, yeah.
And, Joe Burrow's second year in the league, and he has 1.5 legs, fresh legs that can keep, under. It's easy to kind of run out of certain things. Big Ben can't move anymore like he used to. So the old Big Ben could have maybe made up for the deficiencies of that OL in his prime. You can't do that at his age right now. So that was the problem there. But the point is, right now, a lot of criticism going towards the Steelers for that comment and then Steelers fans very similar. Well, what is he supposed to say? You don't say that. You just say right now, you haven't even entered free agency yet. You haven't even entered the draft yet. Why are you making comments about anyone being a starter at any position next year? Because we're not even close to that point of even knowing what the final rosters are going to look like. So that's why I get annoyed with these coaches and organizations who say stupid things like that. Why even do that to open the door to guys like me being critical? I love that Ryan Clark went at the Steelers, his former team, and said that's stupid. Like the Steelers team, that they have embraced losing if that's the case. But now there's some reports that this is not the case, that they are actually looking at a particular quarterback that I like, that if Cleveland was looking at, I like. You're not high on this individual, but I think that he is perfect. I think that if Mike Tomlin can go 8-8 with Mason Rudolph, imagine what he could do with this particular quarterback that you're about to tell us about, that talks are heating up in regards to a trade that involves who, Kev?
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Things are heating up between Jimmy G and the Pittsburgh Steelers. An insider predicts that the Steelers are heading into negotiations with the San Francisco 49ers. A third-round pick is on the table.
What's wrong with that, Kev?
I mean, third-round pick, I'm with it. Third-round pick, that's fine.
Okay, good.
But I personally think that I would take a flyer on Mitch Trubisky over him.
Camera up a little.
Hi, Mom. I would prefer.
What?
Yes.
Oh my God. What?
Absolutely.
That's what you gave me earlier about the Reggie Miller Ray Allen. So I'm going to return it to you. What? You would rather have Mitch Trubisky?
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Like, I'm not a Jimmy G dude, like, at all. At all.
You hate winners? You like losers? Maybe you can get Baker Mayfield then.
I would take Baker Mayfield over Jimmy G. I don't think Jimmy G is a good quarterback.
Listen, this has now become me and the rest of the AFC North against the Bengals. I am team whoever beats the Bengals at this point. I go black and yellow, baby.
Hey, man, if they make the trade for him and he's my quarterback, of course I'm going to root for him because he's my quarterback. But I just think that they can do better. I think that there's other options out there besides Jimmy Garoppolo that you can get. And the other thing about Jimmy G, obviously the third-round pick, that's not like the end of the world. I think he's worth like a second-round pick, to be perfectly honest. He's a starting caliber quarterback in this league, but let's just say, okay, this season, the Pittsburgh Steelers somehow made the playoffs, and they had the worst quarterback in the AFC North. They will still have the worst quarterback in the AFC North, in my opinion. Like, I mean, unless this is some upgrading going on by the offensive line to go along with Jimmy G, unless there's some new play calling done by Matt Canada that we haven't seen since his days at LSU, it's a lot that needs to go right for Jimmy G to be productive. Those years that he made it to the Super Bowl with the Niners, everything was perfect. Had one of the best defenses in the league, had one of the best run attacks in the league. This year, had one of the best run attacks in the league, had one of the best run defenses in the league. Like how you like to say, like things had to be right for Baker Mayfield. Like that's what Jimmy G. And things are not right with the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially on the offensive line. So if he needs a ton to be right about the team, this ain't the team for you to be coming to.
Well,
to play safe.
But that certainly ain't Trubisky either.
I think Trubisky, well, I know Trubisky is far more athletic than him. And all Mike Tomlin has talked about was we want to get a guy that can move. Trubisky can move. Trubisky's super athletic. You talk about winning games. We want to play the winning stat game. Like he's taking the Bears to playoffs before. Like, and they had like 11 wins that one year and everything like that. Like, I think he's a better prospect. I think he's cheaper. And then potentially you can sign more pieces on the offensive line to help the team as a whole, as opposed to trading the third-round pick and then obviously taking on his contract that's going to take up a lot of that. Nevertheless, that you still got to sign Minka Fitzpatrick and everything like that. So I would take a 1-year flyer on Mr. Trubisky or even a Jameis before I would do Jimmy G.
I just think that you look at the success that Jimmy Garoppolo has had with good quality coaches in the league. Tom Brady goes out. The Patriots don't miss one single tiny little bit with Garoppolo stepping in for Tom Brady under Bill Belichick. He goes to the San Francisco 49ers. Year one, they go to a Super Bowl. Year two, he's injured. They don't even make the playoffs. Year three, he's back. They're back in the NFC Championship game. So to me, it's just one of those things where, yes, you're right. There's a lot of deficiencies with him, but there's a lot of deficiencies with Joe Burrow. There's a lot of, I'm not putting him in the same conversation as Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's way better, but I'm just saying there's always going to be the things that you say, man, he doesn't do this well, but he's just a natural winner. Like you win games with him at quarterback.
Then why is San Francisco moving on from him if he's such a winner?
Because I think it's the money situation as well. I don't think he's worth that money. If you're saying you want Trubisky just because he's cheaper, I can get down with that. But if you think Trubisky's better, that's where me and you are going to, go our separate ways as far as that opinion's concerned. I can't get on board with the Trubisky thing. And I'm even willing to say that Baker Mayfield is the worst quarterback in the AFC North if they do land Garoppolo. If they get Mitch Trubisky, the gap between 3 and 4 is quite wide at that point, in my opinion. So, but no, Garoppolo is just I think he steps in. And I just think that's a good veteran who knows how to win, who's played in big games, which is what Pittsburgh is all about. I don't, if you're going to bring in Trubisky, you might as well just keep Mason Rudolph. And obviously more versatile is Trubisky as far as his ability to run. But you know what? Get an offensive line. You want to run the football, give it to your running back you drafted in the first round last year. How about that? just roll with that guy. Either way, we'll see what ends up happening as far as that's concerned. But
you know who's happy about this if this is true? Everybody in the AFC North. They're like, oh, cool. We're going to get gimme interceptions.
By the way, is this setting up a Tom Brady to San Francisco, by the way?
Because he hasn't officially retired, has he?
He's announced it, but he hasn't officially, he has not officially
turned into paperwork?
Turned in any paperwork. But I thought he had another year. Was that his last year?
No, he had another year under the contract.
So they would have to do a trade or just an outright release?
Man, I'm not about to let you just walk there, bro. I'm gonna need something. 5th rounder, 6th rounder, something. And you want to go home, but
then Tom Brady's like, well, that's fine. I just won't play, and you'll be stuck with Trubisky. San Francisco will have Trey Lance, who, by the way, that's I think San Francisco's just putting that off, admitting that they were wrong with that pick, possibly. I mean, who knows? But interesting nonetheless. But 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call in. Kev, who we got?
We have Adam line 2.
Adam on line 2. Adam, how are you, sir? What is wrong with these phones today? 518-1410. Caller, who's this?
Hey, it's Jerry from Dayton.
Jerry from Dayton. How are you, sir?
Good. Hey, I want to throw a name out there. If Kev wants Trubisky, I think they'd also have to bring in some competition / a good backup for him. And I think Marcus Mariota would be a good backup for him. I could see those two being a pretty good tandem if you're going to get Jimmy G. And you could probably get them both for the same price. You get Jimmy G or cheaper.
2 for 1? 2 for 1 special?
2 for 1.
Yeah. Hey, man, why don't y'all just give us Derek Carr?
I'm sorry?
Why don't y'all just give us Derek Carr and call it even?
No, that's okay. I think we'll stick with him because I don't see a better option out there, quite frankly. But I don't know. A lot of it would depend on what you would give up for him, too. Don't get me wrong. So,
yeah, 2nd rounder?
No. Get out of here. Bye. We ain't that crazy, man. We have some adults in charge now. I mean, come on now.
Allegedly.
Well, we'll see. But
you can't throw around that we got adults in charge after the chaotic season you just had there.
Well, we have
between
a new GM, we have a new coach,
and bad decision making.
We have
players.
a new GM, we have a new head coach. They're all new coaching staff. So
yeah, because that's signs of a stable franchise right there. By the way.
Well, I mean, it's better than us staying pat with the terrible play calling we had last year. I mean, think about it. That game against the Bengals, we're on the 9-yard line. We don't throw one pass to our 6'6", 250-pound tight end in the end zone.
Well, that's because the key to the Bengals Super Bowl run was the defense, and the defense stepped up.
Well, you're right about that. I'll give you that for sure. But but it's also some fortunate breaks too. Let's call it that, shall we? So,
That's
including
the
bad play
ESPN 30
calling
for
by my
30
team.
fortunate breaks, the Cincinnati Bengals Super Bowl run. That's exactly what we'll call it.
I wasn't calling to get on the Bengals case today, though. I was trying to help my boy Kev Nash out. Because I think his Steelers, look, a little retooling on the offensive line and a decent quarterback, and Pittsburgh's right in the mix.
Oh, man.
Be honest, right?
That's it, right? That's all we need.
Right back in the mix. They made the damn playoffs last year with Band-Aids and Scotch tape, basically.
Goodness gracious.
Well, you got some playmakers on your defense, right? You got TJ, you've got Minka, you've got the kid from Michigan, Bush, was it?
Yep.
You got some ball, Cam Hayward.
Sure. But you gotta be able to score some
ballers.
points, man. You can't be out here scoring 15 points and be like, oh yeah, man, we're about to win. It's 2022,
right.
man. You gotta at least be putting up 23 points at the bare minimum. They can't even do that.
You need a quarterback who's not 3 years past his expiration date, right?
Facts.
That helps. And an offensive line who can block. I mean, those two things, but I think Najee Harris is a very good running back. I think you got some talent at wide receiver. Freiermuth, he could be developed into a really nice tight end. Hey, man, I'm trying to help you out, team, man. You guys got some pieces to build around. I don't think you're going to have a really down year. I think you'll be right in the mix. I think what you guys have said about the AFC North and from top to bottom, 2 games separating the pack, I think that's entirely likely.
The thing for me that angers me as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan is for the first time in quite a while, like, it doesn't seem like everybody's on the same page. Like, Mike Tomlin's press conference after the season, he says about the quarterback position, everything's on the table. Then 3 weeks later, the GM who will be retiring after the draft says, oh, yeah, Mason's going to be the quarterback if we started today. Like, I don't like to hear that. Like, and as much as I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, like, that's odd. That's odd that, all right, man, we're going to let the GM do the draft and then he's going to retire. Like, why don't we hire a GM that's going to be here for the next season because it's going to be built in his image and along with the coaching staff. So, like, that irks me that he's still doing the draft. That irks me that Mike Tomlin says one thing and then the GM says another thing. And it irks me that the ownership is letting this happen. Like, that irks me.
Yeah, I can see your point there because that doesn't sound very Steeler-like.
Yeah, like, when has that ever happened? Whenever you talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, you talk about legacy and longevity and all whatever cliche words you want to use, but it always seems like, all right, the coaching and the front office are on the same page. They're not on the same page, barring from the conversations or the press conferences that they had, talking about everything's on the table with the quarterback position until, oh, yeah, Mason's going to be the starting quarterback if we started today. Like, hey, man, get on the same page, man. Get on the same page and figure it out.
So what do you think about, didn't they bring Brian Flores in on the defensive staff? What do you think about that?
Love it. Love it. You basically got head coach coaching linebackers. I mean, he was great with linebackers. I mean, everything that he did with Baker, the former Buckeye down there in Miami, made him an all-pro player. Hopefully he can get Devin Bush up to that level, and hopefully Devin Bush is fully recovered off the torn knee that he had in his second year in that league. So I love it. I love it. I love it.
Right.
The only thing that I would have loved more if he was actually the defensive coordinator.
Right. Well, hey, man, baby steps with that. But, hey, I think, like I said, man, I just don't know. I think the Browns are going to be right back in it, too, because they're not going to be the mass unit they were last year. Let's just be honest, right?
Now you're talking Kenner's wheelhouse.
Well, it's just the truth, man. With that roster, dude, you could go with the guy who was playing backup, I forget his name, and still win 9-10 games. I mean, that's a stud locked roster. Hey, Kenner, what you guys going to do about Jarvis Landry, though? I heard some scuttlebutt that they're talking about having him take a pay cut. Have you heard that, too?
He should take a pay cut, because if not, he will be cut. And then he can go sign wherever he wants, which is probably fine. He can go play with a better quarterback, but he will not make he wants the $15 million that's part of, the currently constructed contract.
Right.
But if I'm Cleveland, I don't look. He's been a great asset to this team. He was the face of the rebuild as part of, as far as transitioning into that into the rebuild and coming out on the other side. But I appreciate all the stuff that he did for the Browns and coming over from Miami, but at the same time, I know that OBJ's his guy, that's his friend and everything, but sometimes I thought that he cared more about that friendship than the perception of, the comments made on social media. And when shots were taken at Baker Mayfield and you have Jarvis liking those tweets and liking the social media interactions that involve shots at your quarterback, I don't care if you've been a leader to this point. That doesn't mean that you are a leader at this point. And I don't think he's been a great leader in this past year. I think he's done a horrible job as far as helping this team navigate through the disaster that was the OBJ trial or run or experiment, whatever you want to call it. Yes, Baker plays a role in that as well. But again, don't tell me about how great of a leader he's been when he has done zero to try to patch the holes and just contributing to the outside noise on top of it. I have no problem with him telling Cleveland, I want my money. I want to stay, but I want to stay for my money. But I also have no problem with Cleveland saying, look, we value you, but at the same time, you're not worth the $15 million. From a production standpoint, the strength of you was your leadership, and you've kind of taken a step back on that based on supporting the outsiders that are no longer a part of this roster. Doesn't say you can't be friends with them, but you don't need to be a part of the noise on social media when it comes to that. If Baker Mayfield can't do commercials without getting criticized, why should we let Jarvis off the hook for liking posts, taking shots at their quarterback, who, ironically enough, Jarvis comes out bitching and moaning yesterday, I'm down in production because I played hurt all year. All while your quarterback didn't produce at a high level because he was hurt all year. So I'm back and forth on Jarvis. If they cut him, he'll go sign wherever he wants, but he's not going to get $15 million. So if he wants to stay in Cleveland, he needs to stay in Cleveland. But if he doesn't and wants the money, he's not going to get that either. So we'll see what ends up happening.
Yeah, I hear you. And it's not like you can't. I will say this. Wide receiver seems to be year in and year out the one position that always has some playmakers in the draft, right? So you can go out there and get a really good guy. If not in free agency, I think especially in the first 2 rounds of this draft, you could probably find somebody who you could equal his production or maybe even get a little bit better for the long term. So I get you. I had heard that scuttlebutt this morning, and I didn't know what you thought of it. So cool. Yeah, but I don't know, Kev. You could go Jimmy G, but my concern about Jimmy G for Pittsburgh would be is his injury history, right? So I can see the logic with going with the Trubisky. I just think, get Mariota and make it a competition and let the best guy win, and you still save money over getting Jimmy G. That'd be my take on that. All right, gentlemen?
Later. I'll let the guys know.
Let them know what the scuttlebutt's about. Jerry dropping by with the scuttlebutt.
Call up Coach T and let him know the deal.
Mike Haywood says, and that's why players should hold out for money all the time, because teams don't honor contracts either. Because see, this is the stuff I hate. I hate this. When a team cuts a player, it's, well, this is why the players need to blah, blah, blah. And then when the players do it to the teams, well, they should because the teams do it. Just because teams do something, just because players do something doesn't mean that it's right that the other side, let's be clear. You're acting like the Browns aren't honoring this contract. They are honoring the contract. You know why? Because within the contract, it states that they have the right to move on from that contract. And that's what they're actually exercising the art of the contract. Like that's really what this comes down to. So that's really what's not honoring the contract is when you have players who are contracted through a certain year who just hold out because they don't like the coach, they don't like the minutes, they don't like this, they don't like that. That's not honoring the contract. If a team wants to cut you and the verbiage in the contract states that they have the right to do so, guess what they're honoring? The contract. Like if you don't like that clause in there, fire your agent. Or tell your player to get a brain and get a better agent. Like, I don't know what you want me to say about that, but no, I'm not, So Mike Haywood says, also within the contract, it states players can sit out and get fined. It doesn't say that they could sit out. It doesn't say they could sit out. It says you'll be fined for every practice and game missed. If you want to spin it that way to fit your narrative, more power to you, Mike. But no, that's not, why I have no clue why we are always so sentimental with the athletes. Maybe it's my jealousy of not having leverage at my job. I have no clue what it is. But this idea that it's the big bad business owners that are the bad guys here, and that the poor rich billionaire victims, the athletes, they're just poor. And by the way, poor Jarvis. Are you kidding me? He's about to get his butt out of Cleveland. Poor Jarvis. Good for him. And besides, you don't get to produce as little as he has over the last 2 years and then get to say, oh, poor me. Like Cleveland has every right to do that. Why would you want to continue to pay him $15 million? Let me ask you, Browns fans, is he worth $15 million? Let me ask you, Kev, is he worth $15 million? No, he's not worth $15 million.
It wasn't worth the contract that he got. Like if we playing like that, because he's a slot receiver. Like his best years in Miami was a slot receiver, and I mean I don't think a slot receiver
is worth $15 million.
Yeah, not him. Just like the position that he plays.
And think about the time he signed the contract. It makes sense as to why he got that money, because Cleveland had nobody. They were 0-16. And that's the other thing, too. Jarvis talking about, well, I'm going to go help win a championship. Well, don't act like winning's always been a priority of yours, because let's be clear. You agreed to a sign and trade to go to Cleveland. And you only agreed to that sign and trade to go to Cleveland because Cleveland was the only stupid organization that was dumb enough to pay you $15 million a year. And Jarvis is good. I like Jarvis. But this idea that Jarvis is being victimized by the Cleveland Browns, I cannot get on board with that, especially when the team is willing to just let you go so that you can go pursue any team and any opportunity you want. What to me, being a victim is signing a contract and then they trade you to a really crappy situation. Like they trade you to the Lions or they trade you to the Giants or just something bad like that. Like to me, that is bad. Like if a team just lets you outright go, that stinks. But now, Kev, you have the freedom to go wherever the heck you want. There's no, non-competes. There's no anything. You get to go wherever you want. To me, I think it's bad when you have a situation like, and this was a dual bad on both sides in Philadelphia with Simmons, basically the 76ers owner of GM. Well, I'm not trading him unless it's for this.
Right.
So now he's at the mercy of the GM to trade him. And then the team's at the mercy of Simmons not wanting to play for them. That was both of them exercising the loopholes that exist within contracts of trying to utilize one's leverage. Well, I'm not going to play for you because I'm the player. And you need me to play because look at all the money you paid me. And the organization saying, well, we're not just going to let you walk for nothing. We will gladly let you sit out the entire year if it means us waiting until the right deal can get done. So no, I think there's better examples to use of how players are treated poorly by organizations. I don't think Cleveland cutting Jarvis, if it comes to that point, I don't think that that's one of those examples of them not honoring the contract, especially when the contract stipulates that they don't have to pay you that final year. That's why it's an option.
Yeah, I mean,
there are good examples, and you've brought up many, and I don't really argue with many of those you bring up. I just don't think that this falls under one of those categories is all.
It's as simple as this, man. Better players than Jarvis Landry have been cut. It is what it is, man. Like, I could argue with you about it, but it's kind of pointless because better play. Look, man, Jerry Rice was cut. Joe Montana was cut by the San Francisco 49ers. Okay? I don't know what to tell you. Like, two of the best players of all time, not best players at a position, two of the best players in football of all time. Jim Brown was told to go take a hike by the Cleveland Browns back in the day. Okay? He's probably the best running back of all time. Yeah, he retired because they couldn't work out a new contract because he was making more money making movies, and they said no.
By the way, if Aaron Rodgers does retire, he'll be the first MVP to do so since Jim Brown.
Wow.
I don't know why I thought of that.
That's be in company with Jim Brown.
And let me, Mike, I'm coming across. I got to learn how to have a conversation without coming across so just me.
So Kenner.
So I apologize. Like, I'm not meaning to come across so argumentative. I don't, when people say that the contract's not being honored, I disagree wholeheartedly on that, because if the contract stipulates that they can cut you, then how are you? This is why I get annoyed when people who agree to terms have the nerve to get mad when those terms, for instance, this isn't a big deal. I'll kill the music on this, but this was a big deal a few weeks ago. The Horizon League was in the news. Of course, the only time the Horizon League's in the news is for Butler getting to the Final Four for 2 straight years, or Butler leaving the Horizon League, and then no one's heard about him since.
Right at the Big East now, right?
And I work for their league. I do their podcast, so I'm not being a very good spokesperson right now. But I'm just trying to be real with people. They know it, and it's not like I'm being disrespectful. It's just the reality of it. But they were in the headlines a few weeks ago because the UIC, all teams have this, by the way, when you are talking about your contracts within a conference. And there are certain times, there are timetables that you have to let them know that you are going to be leaving to join another conference. UIC and their team president or their school president and chancellor and all that, they all agreed to these terms. In fact, they're the one that spearheaded this exact agreement with the conference, actually, that if you bolted for the league, you had to give them a 2-year notice. Okay. Used to be, I think, wasn't it like 3? It was a lot longer. They wanted a 1-year notice and they compromised on 2. And so that was the big deal. You know what UIC did? They said, we're leaving in 6. They told them in January that they're leaving in June.
6 months.
To join the Missouri Valley, which good for them. More power to them. So what UIC did at this point is UIC did this, and part of the bylaws that they agreed to stated that if you do not give the proper window of time to let the league know that you're going to be bouncing, then you will not be eligible for any postseason conference tournaments. They agreed to it. So what UIC did to save face was when the league said, okay, you have to pay your $500,000, which, by the way, we're talking about these small mid-major schools that bitch about having no money coming out of COVID, but they had no problem dropping $500,000 to bounce out of a conference. I found that cute, by the way. They pay $500,000 to get out, knowing that these are and by the way, UIC, those chancellors, they spearheaded this. They were one of the main people on that part of this committee that were trying to help in the negotiations to get this deal done years ago. They knew what the repercussions were. They didn't say, it's not like they even did a 1.5 year notice on a 2-year agreement. They 6 months in January, deuces were out.
Mm-hmm.
The league said, okay, but you're no longer eligible now for any postseason. No Horizon League, men's, women's basketball, baseball, that stuff. What UIC did that ticked me off like you wouldn't believe is they tried to do what everyone does. They try to play the victim. When they knew that they're wrong, to save face, they try to play victim and say, oh, we are so shocked and saddened by this decision, and how dare the Horizon League do this to our student athletes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just want to scream. That is the stupidest thing I have ever heard. You put your student athletes in that position. Your pursuit of money. It's the Missouri Valley. You couldn't tell the Missouri Valley, give us a year.
I'm going to play Murray State. See if John Morant come back to school.
Give us a year. It's the Missouri Valley. And you're bringing the Chicago market to them. You have the leverage. Stop it with that. So they wanted out in 6 months. They were the aggressors as far as that's concerned. So what they did is they held the Horizon League said, look, you're putting us in a spot here. You're telling us in 6 months you're out when the agreement is 2 years to tell. Like I said, not a 1.5 years, not a 1 year and 8 months. We're talking 6 months. So the league said you're just no longer eligible for any of these postseasons. So then all of the negative press, the Horizon League's finally being talked about, but they're being talked about because they're the big bad bully conference who's crapping all over the student athletes. The student athletes were a casualty of the inept leadership of the UIC Flames. Their athletic director, their school president, their decision makers, they crapped on their own athletes and then tried saving face by releasing a statement saying, we're shocked and saddened. How are you shocked and saddened when you knew that was the repercussion from the bylaws that you signed? You agreed to it. You helped spearhead it. And then what do? Oh, gosh, we're the victim here. No, this is what I hate. I hate when people sign contracts that they agree to the terms and stipulations, and then when they violate those contracts or the rules and stipulations and the repercussions come their way, then they try to cry foul, play victim. Well, guess what? The Horizon League, who has no leverage whatsoever in any kind of PR war, they had to bend and fold, and so they now let UIC back into the postseason tournaments, which just shows if you bitch and cry enough, you can get what you want. That forgot all about that, but this example right here of people crying about, oh, you're not honoring the contract. You are honoring the contract. The contract states you don't have to let the teams participate in the postseason. The contract for the Browns states that we don't have to pay you that money, Jarvis, in the last year, and they're warranted in doing so. Why is it so damn cold all of a sudden in this studio?
What's that? Yeah. What's the fine print on your fancy new contract?
I have. That's not the point.
But on a serious,
I do have a buyout. And
hey, y'all hear that? Y'all want to get rid of Kenner?
And I feel proud because I negotiated my contract with our company without an agent. And I have been told to get an agent. I did not
going to Lamar Jackson route, eh?
And and I can't pass either. So
no, on a serious note, like I know you just talked about the Horizon League, and that's getting very little media coverage and everything like that. But come about July, August, when the Big 12 starts up again with Texas and Oklahoma and their quest to make it to the SEC sooner rather than later, that's going to be a hot button issue. We're talking like upwards of like $10 million per school to get out of their contract off the rip. So I can only imagine what the Big 12 is going to charge them extra to get out early and everything like that. And then on the flip side, if they're going to be letting Oklahoma and Texas out early and accepting UCF and UC into the Big 12, they're going to have to deal with their conference as well. So like this whole thing just don't stop. Like the whole rotation of schools leaving one conference for the next, like lawyers are involved left and right. College sports, man. College sports.
And by the way, I agree. The student athletes are the ones that do.
Oh yeah, they're the victims here.
But,
sure.
Like when parents get divorced, the kids are the victims in that. I mean, yes, the feelings of the parents being divorced. Yeah, whatever. The kids are the ones that have to deal with the fallout from that. So, it's the selfish decisions that are made by the parents that lead to that leave the kids hanging, right? That's what's happening with these colleges. Well, we want to pursue the better, bigger money-making opportunities by going to this bigger conference. That's super, but how many kids are going to be impacted by that move, whether it be from a recruiting standpoint, a coach leaving, coach coming in, scholarships just being taken away or your scholarship being taken. There's so many transitional things that happen in these type of situations that more times than not, the student athletes are impacted. But I just get tired of stop acting like the UIC. They made me want to vomit when they were spewing that mess about, the student athletes, we care so much about. You do not. Because if you cared about those student athletes, what you would have done was tried to work out a deal with the MVC, who, by the way, it's the Missouri Valley. This is not this is not the Big Ten or the SEC or the ACC that they're looking at UIC saying, now I'll tell you, there's a once in a lifetime opportunity. It's the Missouri Valley. It's not a once in a lifetime opportunity. I promise you, if you don't end up making that conference, I'm sure you'll get another invite because you're with the Chicago market. Not because you're good, by the way. All of this, yes, Scott Campbell, correct, good point. UIC, they're 7-10 or 11-15. Not even a good team to begin with, crying about the student athletes, and their women's team's just as bad. So let's not even act like the student athletes, like you took an opportunity. Oh man, now you almost took away their chance of losing in the first round of the conference tournament. Sorry, got real heated on that one. But I hate when people know the rules to things and then have the nerve to complain when they violate those rules and then the repercussions come their way and then they try to cry foul. I hate that. I hate that.
One more time.
I hate it. Mike Haywood says, UIC didn't want to honor that contract with the punishment. That's why I'm okay with players sitting out and getting fined. He accepted punishment in contract. Are you talking about Simmons? I don't think that's about Jarvis, but nonetheless. All right, folks. I tried to go to commercial 15 minutes ago. Holy smokes. We'll be back in a moment.
Close that window.
Yeah, it's freaking cold.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be cloudy, a high near 33. Tonight's going to be cloudy with snow and a wintry mix, a low near 25. And tomorrow's going to be cloudy with snow and a wintry mix, a high near 36. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Looking for a way to kick your family's meal up a notch? Then Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken has you covered with the 8-piece spicy box at a great price. Experience spicy perfection with 8 pieces of fresh, never frozen classic chicken that's freshly marinated and hand-breaded with a kick. Then it's cooked fresh, just right to seal in that famous flavor. This is the best chicken made bold. Satisfy your spicy cravings with the 8-piece spicy box at a great price. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
When your roommate borrows your car every day, it might be a blind spot. Even having people over to jump around on your trampoline. Yep, it also might be a blind spot. Blind spots are all the surprising things that might need more coverage that you weren't aware of. Good thing Allstate agents can help you find those blind spots while watching out for your wallet.
Call me, Dave Mowdy, at 325-2474. That's 325-2474. Right across the street from Frisch's on East Main Street in Springfield. Based on coverage selected, savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability.
March Madness and the Big Hoopla are back in Dayton with the 2022 NCAA First Four Men's Basketball Tournament, Tuesday, March 15 and Wednesday, March 16. Experience the madness live at UD Arena, following all protocols to ensure a safe and great time by all. The road starts here, March 15th and 16th at UD Arena. America's most passionate college basketball fans. Get your tickets and donate to be a part of our mission at DaytonHoopla.com.
Spring into better sleep with the award-winning comfort of Casper. If you've never experienced sleep in 4D, you're in for a treat. Every Casper mattress is made with Casper 4D sleep technology, Casper's innovative formula for your best night's sleep. Explore all Casper products, mattresses, sheets, pillows, and more at Casper.com. And use code P100 for $100 off select mattresses. That's code P100 for $100 off select mattresses. Exclusions apply. See Casper.com for more details.
I like fresh eggs as much as the next guy, but maybe free-range chickens in the office wasn't a great idea.
We should just use Easy Cater. Breakfast, lunch, treats, on time, and as ordered.
And I bet they never preen their feathers in the conference room without reserving it first! There's a clipboard outside the door. You put your name.
It's not that hard, guys.
Some food just doesn't work at work, but Easy Cater just does. Food for work, on time, and as ordered from over 82,000 restaurants. Order 24/7 at EasyCater.com.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Come rain or shine, high winds or mild breezes, blue skies or gray, it's a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Sponsored by BioNTech and Pfizer.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $700 on average, and those savings add up. Imagine what you could buy in the future.
The graphics are so real on this video game console I bought with the savings from switching to Progressive 10 years ago. I can't tell what's real and what's the game, which I think is what people want, in the future, which it is currently.
So switch to Progressive and save big, because those savings can add up in the future. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary.
To demonstrate the power of Cricket nationwide 5G, we brought in this monster truck. And to tell you Cricket 5G is available on every plan at no extra charge, we brought in this fleet of monster trucks. Now that's power! Get powerful nationwide 5G on all plans at no extra charge. Plus a Cricket Dream 5G phone free when you switch. Tastes like power too. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Must bring your number to Cricket on a $60 a month plan. First month service charge and tax due at sale. Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. Fees, terms, and other restrictions apply. See cricketwireless.com for details. Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you if you could simply take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. I buy all types of real estate completely as is. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, rental portfolios. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer and speak with one of our friendly staff members at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Hi, I'm Sales Manager Jason High at Germain Honda Beaver Creek, proud recipient of the prestigious President's Award. We are your local Honda dealer, and we invite you to see our newly renovated state-of-the-art facility. You'll be amazed at our selection, and remember, all new Hondas come with a lifetime powertrain warranty. Visit us at Route 35, just east of 675, conveniently located near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I'll see you soon.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Hi, this is Keith Byers. If you suffer from chronic joint pain, don't assume that steroid shots, pain pills, and surgery are your only options. You can now get real, lasting, life-changing relief from QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in using biologic therapies to repair damaged tissue in your aching joints. The success rate is staggering. People with knee and back pain, shoulder pain, and hip pain, they're moving again, enjoying life with the help of QC Kinetics. This advanced, unique treatment protocol uses natural biologic agents, mostly from your own body. These powerful, highly concentrated growth factors are put directly into your affected joint, going to work to soothe the inflammation and restore damaged tissue. Finally, a new, different, highly successful approach to dealing with joint pain. Is it time you got a second opinion? Call QC Kinetics now and wake up to a life without pain. Call QC Kinetics at 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the very best value in bath and shower remodeling, and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that's safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase right now. Visit Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com. And upgrade today.
Do you have standing water, a wet basement, or water in your heat ducts? Hi, this is Jeff Heil from Buckeye Landscaping and Ohio Irrigation and Drainage. At Ohio Irrigation, we have a solution to end your drainage problems. We provide a free custom design and estimate to meet the needs of your home and keep you worry-free when it rains. Call Buckeye Landscaping, Ohio Irrigation, 432-9911, or visit our website, buckeyeindohio.com. That's 432-9911. Stop worrying. Call for a free estimate today.
That dinner was delicious. What's next?
I'm thinking just the check.
Do you frequently have gas, bloating, diarrhea, stomach pain, or loose oily stools after eating? One or more of these symptoms could be a sign of exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, and it may be time to talk to your doctor.
If you have EPI, Creon may be right for you. Creon, pancrelipase, is an oral prescription medication that treats EPI. Creon replaces enzymes you may be missing to help you break down food properly.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosis and colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Do not chew capsules or contents as this may cause mouth irritation. Tell your doctor if you have unusual or severe stomach pain, bloating, trouble passing stool, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, worsening of painful swollen joints, or allergic reactions. Other side effects may include changes in blood sugars, gas, dizziness, or sore throat and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon.
Talk to your doctor about Creon, the #1 prescribed EPI treatment, and visit gocreon.com. That's GOCREON.com, or call 1-800-633-9110.
Ray Magliozzi here. eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. And if there's one thing I love, it's great parts and great prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
Hey, Jim! Thanks for coming.
Are you kidding? I never miss one of your dinner parties. How's the new job?
We're growing fast, and I stopped working weekends, thanks to how much smoother everything runs on NetSuite by Oracle.
Fantastic. We're still using QuickBooks.
Why haven't you upgraded to NetSuite?
We're making QuickBooks work, sort of.
Shh, watch your language. The kids are right there. Sorry, Amy. NetSuite gives you visibility and control of your financials, inventory, HR, planning, budgeting, and more. NetSuite is everything you need to grow, all in one place. And 93% of surveyed businesses increase their visibility and control since upgrading from QuickBooks to NetSuite.
Yeah, sounds like it's time for me to switch to NetSuite. Over 27,000 businesses already use NetSuite. For the new year, NetSuite has a new financing program for those ready to upgrade at netsuite.com/radar. Head to netsuite.com/radar for this special one-of-a-kind financing offer on the #1 financial system for growing businesses. netsuite.com/radar.
Elise and Carl needed a small business loan fast to order more equipment for their bakery. Elise suggested OnDeck.com, but instead, Carl called
Lone Falcon!
Wait, no.
Look out! Bad Falcon, healed! Lone Falcon, why?
There's a better way to get a fast small business loan. OnDeck, the online lender that makes it easy to apply in minutes and, if approved, get your loan as soon as the same day. With lines of credit up to $100,000 and term loans up to $250,000, OnDeck lets you choose the loan that's right for your business. As America's largest online small business lender, OnDeck has funded over $14 billion to businesses like yours, so you can borrow with confidence and get your loan fast. Go to OnDeck.com. Your loan is on deck. Depending on certain loan attributes, your business loan may be issued by OnDeck or Celtic Bank, a Utah chartered industrial bank, member FDIC. Limited eligibility for same-day funding. OnDeck does not lend in every state. All loans subject to lender approval.
Come rain or shine, high winds or mild breezes, blue skies or gray, it's a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Sponsored by BioNTech and Pfizer.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $700 on average, and those savings add up. Imagine what you could buy in the future.
Remember how 15 years ago I switched to Progressive? Well, I used all those savings to buy that golf club that swings for you. But now everyone who plays golf is really good because, the club swings for you in the future, which is now.
So switch to Progressive and save big because those savings can add up in the future. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. National